Chapter 165. Kong Shang Xen felt all the hairs on his body stand on end. Could it be that there was someone else dressed like this? And this was in front of Butian Pavilion. Who would dare to pretend to be king of Hell Chu here? King-level leader Kong felt like he was about to explode. Chu Yang arrived at Cloud Gate Inn and went to the door of the Saber King's room. He put on his mask and gently knocked twice. "Who is it?" Inside, the Saber King's voice was a bit dull. "It's me." Chu Yang smiled and said, "Could it be that Senior doesn't recognize my voice?" The door suddenly opened. The Saber King rebuked, "Why are you in such a chaotic situation? Why are you running around by yourself? If your identity is discovered, you are just walking to your death." The Saber King's tone was a bit reproachful. His face was a bit strange, as if he was a bit embarrassed. After all, after the prison break, his people were not in place. Now that he saw King of Hell Chu, he naturally felt a bit guilty. "If my identity is discovered, even in Butian Pavilion, I am just walking to my death." Chu Yang smiled. "Is Senior busy?" Not busy, not busy. Come in. The Saber King opened the door. Chu Yang walked in and could not help but be surprised. There were 17 or 18 people inside. No wonder no one stopped him outside. They were all here for a meeting. "Everyone, good morning." King of Hell Chu politely greeted them. The assassins of the Hayemo clan were a bit confused by the sudden appearance of this masked man in black. "Who is this guy? He seems to be quite familiar with you." "This is Minister Chu of Butian Pavilion, Official Chu." The Saber King explained. Everyone looked over with interest. This guy was the ferocious masked King of Hell Chu from the other day? "Oh, for Official Chu to come here today, what do you want?" The Saber King's tone was very polite today. He could not help but feel a bit guilty. Last night, there was such a big commotion. Everyone knew that something big had happened. When he came out to take a look, he found out that his people were not in place. There was no need to mention the feeling in his heart. That day, he patted his chest and swore that he would be fine. Now, he did not do anything and the matter was already over. How could he say that? The Saber King even had a thought. If King of Hell Chu mentioned last night's matter, then he would use that as a pretext to scold these people. This is too much. Benja, good person, how would this lowly official dare to say the word teach? King of Hell Chu sighed deeply. He didn't disappoint the Saber King's expectations and said, "Senior, do you know that a major prison break happened last night?" "This I've heard." The Saber King's face was a bit red as he glared at his subordinates. "Last night. The situation is really hard to explain." King of Hell Chu's complexion was very heavy. "What's wrong?" The Blade King asked nervously. "There is one thing that I have come to ask for Senior's forgiveness for." Chu Yang said seriously, "Last night's prison break shook the entire city. Inside the prison, there was a foul wind and rain of blood. It was a hellish scene. Senior's righteousness is as high as the sky, generously allowing an 8th-grade revered martial artist to assist us. However, this lowly official is indeed ashamed. That 8th-grade revered martial artist Senior, unfortunately, perished together with the enemy." King of Hell Chu sadly lowered his head. The Saber King stood up. Yes, that Senior could be said to be a true hero. He was chivalrous and loyal, extremely heroic. Chu Yang said, he single-handedly fought against 2 8th-grade revered martial artists and dragged them down with him. If it weren't for him, the casualties would have been even greater. Such a hero, but he was alone. Reinforcements were late, and he died with a grievance in prison. What a pity, what a pity. King of Hell Chu used his sleeve to wipe his eyes. It seemed like he was crying. The old Third Han is dead. The Saber King stood there blankly for a while. Then he suddenly flew into a rage. "You bastards! I told you guys to hurry up and go, but you guys refused to go no matter what. Now, because you guys didn't go, Han Lao-san is dead. Do you know that old Third Han is dead? You bastards! You are a bunch of trash. You are a bunch of pigs. You are a bunch of trash." The Saber King's furious voice pierced the heavens. "Bastards! Continue to delay. Continue to refuse. Continue to be arrogant. Respect your status. Old Third Han was also a good brother who went through fire and water with you. Now, because of you, he is dead. Don't you feel guilty? Don't you feel ashamed? Don't you feel grief and indignation? The Saber King flew into a rage. What? This is the consequence of not listening to my orders. You are sinners. You killed your own brother. You killed Old Third Han. All of you. All of you. All of you. Bastards. In the Saber King's heart, Old Third Han was not Old Third Han. The key point was that these people did not listen to his orders. This was what annoyed the Saber King the most. Now, he could use this as an excuse to ruthlessly beat these people up. In front of him, a man in black was sitting peacefully on an armchair. He faintly coughed and looked at Chu Yang expressionlessly. Then he slowly said, "Minister Chu? Official Chu? Senior is? You don't need to know who I am. I just want to ask you one thing." The man coldly looked at Chu Yang and said in a low voice, "My people went to help you, but they died there? I wonder where your people were at that time?" Senior is right. My people were indeed there. Chu Yang said sadly, "Last night's battle was earth-shattering. Our guards and soldiers, 137 people, died heroically in the line of duty. 330 people were seriously injured, and 4 had light injuries. The experts of the He-Mo clan were shocked. More than 100 people died, more than 300 were seriously injured, and only 4 had light injuries. Just from this number alone, one could see how cruel that battle was. There were more serious injuries than light injuries, and more dead than light injuries. Only those who fought with their lives on the line could achieve such a result. In last night's battle, the other side had a total of 10 experts. 3 of them were first-grade revered martial artists, and 3 were 8th-grade revered martial artists. The rest were at least 3rd-grade revered martial artists. Chu Yang said, "On our side, the highest grade was only 3rd-grade revered martial great master." There was such a great disparity in strength, but after a fierce battle, other than the 2 who died together with your 8th-grade revered martial artist, there were 8 people who died here forever. Chu Yang said with an intense voice, "Even those who were lucky enough to escape were all injured. Until now, regardless of friend or foe, their corpses are still in the prison. They have not been buried yet. If Senior has any doubts, you can go and check." The person who asked the question was silent for a while. Then he said lightly, "Yes." Then he did not say anything else. "This is my 3rd brother, King-level leader soul catcher of the He-Mo clan. My 3rd brother is very strong. Even in the entire clan, he is ranked in the top 5. The Saber King introduced. "So it is Senior Soul Catcher. Junior greets you." Chu Yang said humbly, If Senior's reinforcements can arrive." Chu Yang sighed deeply. He shook his head and laughed, "I have misspoken." The Saber King snorted. All the experts kept quiet out of fear. "Actually, I came here today not only to inform you of the news, but also to remind you of something important." Chu Yang saw that they had passed this hurdle and felt relieved. If they could not pass this hurdle, then the next plan would not work. "Remind us." The Saber King asked, "What is it?" "What?" "It is a matter of your safety." Chu Yang said seriously, "There is one thing that I do not understand. The last time they came, there was a king-level master. Now that the king-level master is seriously injured, the people they sent were only revered martial artists. I think this matter is very inappropriate." "It is indeed inappropriate." The Saber King frowned and said, "It is completely inappropriate. If a king-level master can die at any time, then what is the use of only sending a revered martial artist? Therefore, I think there must be 1 or 2 king-level masters hiding in the dark, waiting for a thunderous strike." Chu Yang said seriously, "This guess is very reasonable." King-level leader Soul Catcher nodded. "If they are hiding in the dark and do not show up, then they must be planning something big." Chu Yang said, "Yes." The Saber King said, "I think that even though they sent so many experts to break into the prison, it is just a ploy to lure the snake out of its hole." Chu Yang said confidently, "As long as we are alarmed by this matter and come out to investigate or go to the prison, then the enemy will make their move. That makes sense. King-level leader Soul Catcher frowned and seriously considered this matter. Right now, there are only 3 people who pose the most threat to them. Or rather, 3 people. Chu Yang said with shame. The first is naturally Grand Elder Butian. The second is the seniors. The third is me. You. King-level leader Soul Catcher narrowed his eyes and looked at King of Hell Chu with disdain. His meaning was, who do you think you are? Do you think you can be compared to us? I am an immortal. King of Hell Chu coughed twice and said, however, I think that Butian is heavily guarded. They will not be able to make their move, so they will not choose to do so. And the biggest threat to the Golden Horse Riders department right now is naturally your side. Especially after this prison break, you must have become a thorn in their side. I am worried. King of Hell Chu said seriously, they are plotting against you. Therefore, you are in a very dangerous situation. Today, I am here to deliver this message. I hope that you will be careful. King-level leader Soul Catcher sneered and said proudly, I am only afraid that they will not come. Also, I have ordered that the news of you staying at Cloud Gate Inn be blocked. Chu Yang said, therefore, they may not be able to find this place. Even if they want to deal with you, they will have to think of another way. Chapter 166. I have also thought about it. With your strength, you may not be afraid of them. But the problem is, Senior Sword King is here. Senior Sword King is seriously injured. If the enemy finds this place, Chu Yang said with concern, this is not good. King-level leader Soul Catcher was frightened and said, yes, you are very considerate. He suddenly remembered that the Sword King was on the brink of death. Not to mention a battle, even a strong vibration would be enough to kill him. This King of Hell Chu was completely considerate of them. King-level leader Soul Catcher could not help but feel ashamed of himself for being angry with him. Seniors, please prepare yourselves. There is a saying that there is no harm in being prepared. Chu Yang said sincerely, as long as you do not suffer any injuries, I will be relieved. Thank you for your concern. King-level leader Soul Catcher said warmly. Benja, good person, okay, I will take my leave. Chu Yang nodded. When he reached the door, he stopped and said casually, although you do not care about these clowns, I think it is better to get rid of them as soon as possible. Then he shook his head and said, goodbye. Then he took a step out of the door. His heart was screaming, keep me here. Keep me here. Keep me here. Minister Chu, please wait. King-level leader Soul Catcher's words made King of Hell Chu feel relieved. But he was still a little confused. He turned around and asked hesitantly, Senior Soul Catcher, do you have any instructions? We also want to get rid of these people as soon as possible. But the problem is how to get rid of them? Does Minister Chu have any good ideas? If we do not get rid of these people, they will be like maggots in our bones. King of Hell Chu's hesitant look could not be hidden from King-level leader Soul Catcher. This King of Hell Chu hesitated. It does not matter. There is no one here. Just say it. Even if you say something wrong, it does not matter. King-level leader Soul Catcher encouraged. I will say it directly. Chu Yang said embarrassedly. Just say it. I think that if they want to deal with us, they can only assassinate us. But they do not dare to make a move. They are not sure. So there are only 2 targets left, me or you. Not bad. Because of this, since I've given a gag order on your residence, the easiest target for them to find is me. In other words, the easiest target to kill is me, Chu Yang said frankly. That's right. The 2 king-level masters nodded. He thought to himself, at least this guy knows his place. He actually knows that he's the most useless one. Therefore, they will only set up ambushes around Butian Pavilion. As soon as I appear, they will immediately make their move. Chu Yang sighed. Not bad. That's why I didn't dare to show up. King of Hell Chu said dejectedly. You don't dare to show up? The 2 king-level experts almost fainted. You've been talking for so long and all you're telling us is that you don't dare to show up? Of course, if Senior really wants to take action, there is a way. I'll have to take the risk. Chu Yang sighed deeply and said, "If you use me as bait to lure the snake out of its hole, they will definitely appear. That is a good idea." The Saber King nodded slowly. "But there's a problem with that." King of Hell Chu rolled his eyes and cursed in his heart, "Because my cultivation is too low, even if I were to be bait. I'm afraid it would be difficult." "That's true. Your martial arts are too weak." King-level leader Soul Catcher looked at Chu Yang with disappointment. "If it was really a king-level assassin, you would be sacrificing your life for nothing. You wouldn't even be able to withstand a single attack from the enemy. The enemy could easily kill you the moment you appear and then run away. Killing you would be too easy. There would be no challenge at all." Chu Yang's heart had already cursed this guy's 18 generations of ancestors. What kind of nonsense was this guy spouting? Was there anything worse to hear? In the end, he sighed and said, "What Senior said, even though I feel uncomfortable and do not want to admit it, it is the truth. This matter is really difficult." The two king-level masters frowned. They could not help but glare at King of Hell Chu with hatred. "What's the point of saying that? You can't even be a bait. What's the point of talking about luring the snake out of its hole? That's why I can only sneak in and out of the place. Life is really difficult." King of Hell Chu sighed and said, "Fortunately, I always wear a mask at Butian Pavilion. No one has seen my true face. Otherwise, I would have become a ghost under the blade of a saber." "Hold on." At this moment, with King of Hell Chu's reminder, the Saber King's intelligence came into play again. "What did you just say? You only wear a mask. No one knows your true face, right?" "That's right." Minister Chu opened his eyes wide in a perplexed manner. He seemed to be confused as he asked, "What's the problem?" "There is a big problem, Pa." The Saber King laughed excitedly. He turned around and said, "Third brother, you see, this matter is so simple. You only need to wear his clothes and wear his mask. Isn't that enough? After all, those guys only recognize the mask." Chu Yang let out a sigh of relief. "Your granny, you two finally came up with this plan. If you want me to play dumb again, I'll just pretend to be an idiot. This plan is feasible." Jade Leader Soul Catcher nodded and pondered. "So, as long as I wear your clothes and wear your mask, I can go to Butian Pavilion?" King-level Leader Soul Catcher asked. "This is hard to say. Last night, such a big thing happened. Of course, we can't take it anymore. However, they sent 10 people and lost 10. This kind of loss is just as big for them. They can't take it anymore." Chu Yang smiled and said, "So, if they intend to assassinate me, they won't let me off since today is the time of turmoil and chaos. Then what are we waiting for?" King-level leader Soul Catcher immediately stood up. The Saber King laughed and said, "Finally, I can see Third Brother in action. When the time comes, I must be on the side to see Third Brother's power and figure out a few moves." "You only know how to flatter." King-level leader Soul Catcher snorted and said, "This time, I'll let you off easy. However, this is a rare opportunity for me to fight. Don't interfere and ruin my mood." "Of course. With Third Brother's strength, who in the lower 3 heavens can be your opponent?" The Saber King laughed. "Only the lower 3 heavens?" King-level leader Soul Catcher smiled proudly and said softly, "Even in the lower 3 heavens, how many people can stop me?" King of Hell Chu lowered his head and secretly curled his lips in a place where no one could see. He thought to himself, "You can do whatever you want. You really are a master at bragging." The Saber King laughed and asked while rubbing his chin, "Official Chu, since you already thought of it, why did you hesitate?" Chu Yang smiled embarrassedly and said, "They are after me. If I said anything, it would seem like I am taking advantage of Senior's weakness." Honest enough. His honest words made King-level leader Soul Catcher look at him deeply and said, "Being afraid of death is human nature. What is there to be ashamed of? Using a strong person to block a disaster is also understandable. If you speak clearly, this old man will not dare to look down on you." After saying that, he burst into laughter. Chu Yang thanked him with tears of gratitude. He thought to himself, "I knew that you old fogies have this kind of bad temper. You don't want to leave, but you want to drag your nephew back. When I beg you to do something, you won't do it. When I don't beg you, you will lick your old face and stick to me. King-level leader Soul Catcher couldn't wait to take the mask from King of Hell Chu. He immediately put it on. As for the black robe, he didn't need to prepare anything. The black robe of the Heimo and King of Hell Chu were similar in style. There is no time to lose. The sooner we kill them, the sooner we can do it. Let's go. King-level leader Soul Catcher walked out proudly. It was as if the head of the king-level leader of Golden Horse Riders department was already there. He only needed to raise his hand and everything would be over. Chu Yang and the Saber King followed closely behind. Luring the snake out of its hole, this matter could be said to be extremely coincidental. King-level leader Kong's idea was to lure the snake out of its hole, and Minister Chu's idea was also to lure the snake out of its hole. However, when the two snakes came out of their holes at the same time, one of them became the fisherman. King-level leader Soul Catcher walked out. Whether it was his posture or his aura, he was much more majestic than King of Hell Chu. He walked with his head held high. His mask was cold and his eyes were cold. His black robe fluttered in the wind. Everyone who saw him could not help but feel a hellish aura coming from him. Especially his two legs. They looked as if they were suffering from gangrene, making him look even more domineering. Seeing this, King of Hell Chu frowned. He was ruining the old man's image. This is not very appropriate. Chu Yang said, Senior Soul Catcher, you need to restrain your aura. Restrain? King-level leader Soul Catcher frowned. Yes, you walked out like this. You looked majestic and heroic. You walked like a dragon or a tiger. You swallowed the heavens and spat out the earth. Anyone who saw you would know that you were a king-level expert. Moreover, you were a high-grade king-level expert. Chu Yang forced a smile. How would that assassin have dared to make a move if he had seen you? Maybe he would just run away. Then wouldn't we? Li is also right. King-level leader Soul Catcher smiled and nodded. He immediately retracted his king-level aura. In the blink of an eye, he changed from a supreme master to a person who held the power of life and death in the secular world. Anyone who saw him would not doubt that he had the power to kill tens of millions of people. So similar. This time, Chu Yang was not trying to flatter him. This guy had imitated the imposing manner of King of Hell Chu back at Butian Pavilion. It was so vivid and lifelike that he was practically a King of Hell Chu. Right now, even if Cheng Ong or Qin Yutong were in front of him, they would have to bow down and call him minister. Chapter 167. Kong Shang-Xen did not even dream that his plan to lure the snake out of its hole would be accomplished in such a manner. Just as he was about to explode in anger from being played for a fool, he actually saw his biggest target, who was wearing a mask, slowly walking over from the opposite side. His head held high and his steps were filled with an insufferably domineering aura. That sinister black robe, that ferocious mask, that unique aura, King-level leader Kong's eyes became moist. The heavens have eyes. The moment he saw King of Hell Chu, King-level leader Kong's entire body tensed up. Even his heartbeat became chaotic due to excitement at this moment. King-level Master Kong took a deep breath. Then he slowly relaxed. He narrowed his eyes as much as he could and concealed all the fluctuations of his vitality. When he slowly opened his eyes again, his entire person had already sunk into absolute silence. Heartbeat still, pulse still, breathing still. Even the sweat pores on his body stopped moving at this moment. Everything was silent. In King-level leader Kong's eyes, as his pupils slowly shrank, the world suddenly disappeared. All that was left was the masked man in the black robe. In fact, every step that person took felt as if the tip of his foot was stepping on his heart. 3 more feet. Kong Shang-Xion's body did not move at all, but he silently shifted his center of gravity forward. Only the strength of his 2 legs was enough for him to jump out. 10 feet away from the front of Butian Pavilion. This was a matter of life and death. Benj is a good person. No matter how vigilant King of Hell Chu was at this distance. But the tension in his heart had begun to loosen. This was something Kong Shang-Xen had tested many times with human lives. There was no mistake. Kong Shang-Xen decided to make his move at this moment. Unable to see through the cultivation of this man in the black robe, Kong Shang Xian used all of his cultivation. This was his strongest attack. Even if he is just an ordinary person, I will still do this. 3 more steps. The people coming in and out of Butian Pavilion also changed their attitude. Everyone became well-behaved. When they saw King of Hell Chu, they all bowed and respectfully said, "Minister." King of Hell Chu didn't show the slightest hint of politeness. Whenever someone greeted him, he would raise his head and snort with his nostrils. Or he would simply ignore them. He would just clasp his hands behind his back and stroll forward in a very pretentious manner. That kind of arrogance and haughtiness naturally appeared on the outside. It really is King of Hell Chu. The attitude of Butian Pavilion's people completely dispelled Kong Shang Xian's last bit of doubt. 2 steps more obedient. He was getting closer. It was getting closer. His 3rd step was already in the air. As long as his heel touched the ground, he would be within 10 feet. This was the moment. Right at this moment. Success and recognition depended on this moment. Move out. Kong Shang Xian took a deep breath and stomped his feet. His entire body suddenly turned into an arrow that was shot out from a bow without making a sound. Without making the slightest sound, his entire body seemed to be floating in the air. Like lightning, he crossed more than 10 feet and looked down from above. Just as his body was about to touch the ground, behind him, there was a sudden "xiao" sound of something breaking through the air. A puff of white smoke came out. Wherever Kong Shang Xian passed, the sunlight could faintly see the distortion in the air. It was very clear. His speed was too fast. The friction between his body and the air caused smoke to rise. Moreover, his movement actually tore apart space. Time and space seemed to have stopped at this moment. As he flew, Kong Shang Xian did not do anything stupid. Instead, he silently flickered his hand and a thin, almost transparent saber appeared out of nowhere. Facing King of Hell Chu, Kong Shang Xian fiercely chopped down with his saber. At this time, the heel of King of Hell Chu's foot had just touched the ground. Boom! Kong Shang Xian's murderous aura had been hidden for a long time. Only at this moment did it suddenly erupt like a flood or a tsunami. It was only at this moment that the tree he stomped on began to shake violently. Branches and branches began to slowly fall off and flutter in the air. They fluttered in the air, full of life and nothingness. Kong Shang Xian, who was descending, aimed at his target and chopped down with a domineering saber. This saber was invisible, but its momentum was like a violent wave. It locked down the space in front of and behind King of Hell Chu. He could not retreat, he could not advance, and he could not dodge. He could only meet it head-on. He used his head to meet it head-on. King-level leader Soul Catcher was shocked. It could be said that he was scared out of his wits. He had already overestimated the assassin's strength, but he did not expect this assassin to have reached such a level. Just this one attack was enough to put him in danger. Moreover, the most ridiculous thing was that before the assassin made his move, he did not reveal any murderous intent. It was only after he made his move that he realized it. Earlier, he was still gloomy about why the assassin did not appear. He did not expect that once he appeared, he would make such an earth-shattering attack. King-level leader Soul Catcher did not have time to react. He hastily raised his hand. In his hand, there was a deformed soul-separating hook in his hand. Golden light flashed. Then, the saber and hook collided with each other. Strangely, there was only a slight sound. It was as if the 2 weapons were carefully placed together. A dense mist visible to the naked eye suddenly spread out from the point of collision. King-level leader Soul Catcher let out a low roar. He couldn't stop his feet from stepping back. His feet left a big hole in the ground as he took 5 steps back. Then he used the momentum to jump back up and landed on the ground. He took another step back to stop himself from falling down. He suddenly raised his head and looked at him in disbelief. A line of blood suddenly appeared at the corner of his mouth. The opponent did not cut him, but the saber energy still hurt him. Kong Shang Xian was also shaken and fell to the ground. He took 3 or 4 steps back. Without saying a word, he chopped down with his saber again. Before this saber strike, the distance between him and the opponent was 80 feet. But when the saber was halfway through, he was already in front of king-level leader Soul Catcher. When the saber fell, it was at the peak of strength, speed, and momentum. No one knew how he crossed such a long distance. Kong Shang-Xen was also shocked. He could not believe it. The opponent was caught off guard and caught his saber strike. Is the opponent also a king-level leader? Could it be that Yin Wu Fei's information was not wrong? But he kept these doubts in his heart. He did not show it on his face, nor did he ask. He only had one thought: kill this person. King-level leader Soul Catcher did not even have time to breathe before the opponent's saber came again. He roared and used the soul-separating hook in his left hand to block. In the blink of an eye, King-level leader Soul Catcher switched from left hand to right hand to left hand. He was only defending. King-level leader Soul Catcher's two soul-separating hooks complemented each other. One for defense, the other for offense. It was very difficult to defend against. But now, he could only defend. He could not even use the two soul-separating hooks at the same time. This parry could only be done by concentrating all the strength of one's body on one hand. His other hand was like a cripple, without the slightest bit of strength. Kong Shang-Xen held his saber with one hand. His attacks were like thunder and waves. His face was expressionless. Saber after saber turned into lightning and thunder. His saber technique was very simple. It was just one saber strike after another. However, there was no time to rest. It was as if he did not need time to rest. This kind of attack would last until the opponent died. There was no time to rest. "Minister, be careful." Minister Chu anxiously shouted from the side. King-level leader Soul Catcher almost vomited blood. So humiliating. So humiliating. Just a moment ago, he was bragging about himself. Now that the enemy appeared, he was in such a difficult situation. Hearing Chu Yang's words full of concern, King-level leader Soul Catcher's heart was filled with the most vicious sarcasm. In an instant, his face behind the mask turned the color of a pig's liver. He really wanted to say, "Shut up." But in the face of the opponent's barrage of attacks, he could only concentrate. Not to mention a word, he did not even have time to fart. In the blink of an eye, King-level leader Soul Catcher was already 300 feet away from Butian Pavilion. Every saber strike was followed by a step back. His body swayed like a lonely boat in the middle of a raging sea, ready to capsize at any moment. Not to mention King-level leader Soul Catcher, who was depressed to the point of insanity, even Chu Yang was inexplicably surprised. He did not expect that this person from Golden Horse Rider's department would be so fierce. "So it is you." King-level leader Soul Catcher glared at the opponent and said through gritted teeth. He finally recognized the opponent from his saber. The soul-chasing saber was invisible, Shang-Xen under the heavens. Sad Saber King Kong Shang-Xen. This was the infamous bandit who once caused a huge uproar in the three heavens. "You are dead." Kong Shang-Xen coldly snorted, "Many people know me. Do you think that just because you recognized me, I would show mercy?" Kong Shang-Xen, "Today is the day you die." Saber King Soul Catcher's belly was about to explode from anger. This person who was hated like a rat in the three heavens had forced him to this point today. What was even worse was that he was also an 8th grade king-level leader, but because he lost the initiative, he was forced into this desperate situation. 10 sabers, and he did not even have a chance to fight back. "Ha!" Kong Shang-Xen slashed 3 times and suddenly stopped. He seemed to have noticed something. His eyes involuntarily looked behind Saber King Soul Catcher. A small gap had appeared in the ferocious attacks that seemed to have no gaps in the sky. Opportunity! Saber King Soul Catcher's mind was suddenly shaken. He roared and attacked with his 2 hooks. The opponent's saber seemed to have been distracted by something. It was aimed at Saber King Soul Catcher's left shoulder. It was not a fatal spot. But Saber King Soul Catcher's hook was aimed at the heart and throat. Chapter 168. As for the sudden distraction, King-level leader Soul Catcher naturally thought that the Hayemo Saber King had appeared behind him. "You have been fooled." Kong Shang-Xen sneered. Suddenly, his entire body bent along with the saber in his hand, forming a huge arc. The The saber also seemed to twist at this moment. In the blink of an eye, it dodged the opponent's double hooks and slashed towards King-level leader Soul Catcher's neck. This move was invisible and traceless. It was like an antelope changing its horns. It was untraceable. It took advantage of the opponent's fatal weakness. This was a trap that Kong Shang Xian had carefully prepared. King-level leader Soul Catcher was shocked. He tried his best to lean back and twist his waist. Suddenly, a cracking sound was heard. It was as if his waist had been broken. A red light appeared. King-level leader Soul Catcher's collarbone was torn open, revealing a bloody wound. Inside, his white bones were exposed. Although he managed to avoid being hit in the vitals and escaped with his life, he still couldn't completely avoid it. This time, everything happened in the blink of an eye. It was only at this moment that the guards in front of Heaven Mending Pavilion finally realized what was happening. Not good. The minister is being assassinated at the door. With a shrill scream, the entire Butian Pavilion was in chaos. Everyone took out their weapons and rushed out. The military barracks on both sides immediately rang with shrill alarms. As soon as the alarm went off, groups of soldiers rushed out. In all directions, a flood of people rushed out. Kong Shang Xian's expression did not change. His eyes did not change. His attacks did not stop. His saber flashed. His attacks were even more ferocious than before. The people of Butian Pavilion had already rushed out, but even if they did, they still needed time. And this distance was time. During this time, there were still 2 breaths. As long as he could kill King of Hell Chu in this time, he would still have time to escape. As long as he was not heavily surrounded, he was confident that he could escape. Kong Shang Xian's saber flashed and suddenly slashed down. Halfway through, it suddenly turned into 2 sabers. They separated into 2 different directions and whistled down. Soul-splitting saber, life-snatching saber. This was Sad Saber King Kong Shang Xian's ultimate skill. Since the beginning of time, this saber was used to decide life and death. King-level leader Soul Catcher roared angrily. His 2 hooks turned into a yellow light and a black gas. At this moment, he could only rely on himself. King-level leader Soul Catcher knew that none of them could help him, even though there were people coming from all directions. Clang, clang, clang. Like a storm, the saber and the hook collided no less than 100 times. King-level leader Soul Catcher rolled on the ground with his ferocious mask on his face. His body was covered in blood. Kong Shang Xian rode his saber and flew up. 7 or 8 places on his body were bleeding profusely. However, his body turned into a long rainbow and shot straight into the sky. The sky suddenly turned dark. It was the soldiers and archers who had rushed over after hearing the news. Regardless of whether they had just arrived or were on their way, they all shot out all the sharp arrows they could. Both near and far, there was only one target, the empty Kong Shang Xian. There were also all the hidden weapons that the masters of Butian Pavilion could use. In a short time, the sky was filled with all kinds of hidden weapons. It was enough to hold a hidden weapons exhibition. Kong Shang Xian's body flashed in the sky. Saber light wrapped around his body. With a slight sound, his body suddenly escaped from the range of these hidden weapons and arrows. He rushed toward the tree from which he came. As long as he could use the tree as a foothold, he would be able to escape. Just as he was about to reach the tree, a bright saber light flashed from the top of the tree. A cold voice said, "1, go down." Hayamo Saber King Soft Cloud appeared at this crucial moment. In fact, it was not a coincidence. Chu Yang had secretly said, "Just in case, wherever the assassin comes out, Senior, you should hide there again." And now, it was working. Kong Shang Xian risked his life to injure King-level leader Soul Catcher. Seeing that the situation was hopeless, he could only retreat. But he did not expect that on top of the tree where he had been hiding for the whole morning, another King-level leader would jump out. After fighting with all his might, his body was injured in several places. Then he was surrounded by arrows and hidden weapons. Just as he was about to let out a sigh of relief, another strong enemy appeared. At this moment, Kong Shang Xian was truly heartbroken. Another King-level leader. Another Saber King. Kong Shang-Xian's eyes suddenly lit up. At this moment, all of the potential in his body was mobilized. His body slightly twisted, and his saber hand suddenly chopped out. Dang! A loud sound was heard. The two Saber Kings clashed in the air. Fuck you! Hayamo Saber King Soft Cloud was furious. Because this saber strike felt empty. Although the sound was loud, it felt like it had hit cotton. Hayamo Saber King Soft Cloud was only a 3rd grade king level leader, while the opponent was an 8th grade king level leader. His understanding of the saber was far above his. Although this saber strike looked solid, it was actually borrowed by the opponent. The two figures tangled together and fell at the same time. During this time, the two sabers fiercely clashed twice. Both of them were Saber Kings. Even though they were falling, they still fought like fireworks. Halfway down, Kong Shang-Xian's body strangely stopped, and he was a bit higher than the Hayamo Saber King. The borrowed strength came into play at this moment. He fiercely stomped on the Hayamo Saber King's buttocks. Using the rebound force from the buttocks, Kong Shang-Xian shot up to the top of a tree. He paused for a moment on the top of a tree. After spitting out 3 mouthfuls of blood, Kong Shang-Xian's body flashed and disappeared. Saber King Soft Cloud's body was heavily stomped by the opponent. His body lost balance and fell like a rock. With a loud bang, the dust on the street flew everywhere. It had actually smashed a 10 feet deep hole in the hard ground with its body of flesh and blood. Its mouth had almost completely sunk into the soil. At the same time, he spat out a mouthful of blood. On the other side, King-level leader Soul Catcher's body was covered in blood. He trembled as he stood up. In today's battle, the 3 King-level leaders were all injured. Minister, are you okay? Cheng Ong hurriedly ran over and supported King-level leader Soul Catcher. He anxiously turned around and shouted, "Doctor! Quickly find a doctor!" Today's battle shook the hearts of everyone in Heaven Mending Pavilion. Everyone knew that Minister Chu usually did not reveal his strength. Who would have thought that Minister Chu was a king-level master? When the assassin made his move, there was a flash of golden light and an empty crown. It was clear that he was a high-level king-level master. Yet, Minister Chu was able to fight for such a long time. Moreover, both sides were injured. Even though Minister Chu was at a disadvantage, no one here could compare to his battle prowess. King-level leader Soul Catcher wanted to speak, but another mouthful of blood came up. He could not speak. His body had received at least a dozen slashes. The first slash was not a big deal. Under his control, they were all superficial wounds. However, the most serious thing was that each slash sent a stream of energy into his body. His internal organs were severely damaged. He almost died on the spot. Hayamo Saber King Soft Cloud groaned as he crawled out of the hole. His face was covered in dirt. He spat and cursed, "This bastard! If I see him again, I will skin him alive." As he spoke, he touched his butt. His heart was still beating fast. If the opponent did not kick his butt but somewhere else, he would have been dead by now. It was the same as 2 king-level masters attacking together. Yet, the opponent was still able to retreat so easily. The Saber King felt extremely humiliated. Only Chu Yen-ren, who had been watching the battle, was unharmed. Moreover, he was the one who gained the most from this battle. This was because the sword spirit had suddenly awakened when the 2 kings were fighting. Moreover, it was commenting in Chu Yang's consciousness. "You call this a king-level master? So weak? Too weak. Is this bastard saber dead? If the saber cannot bend, does that mean the saber energy cannot bend? How can it be so straight? This is bullshit. This person who uses 2 hooks is stupid. What's the use of 2 hooks? If you bully someone weaker than you, you can use a surprise weapon. But do you need a surprise weapon to deal with the weak? What an idiot. You have to know that when fighting someone of the same level, one move is a burden. If he were to fight against someone who was of a higher rank than him, then he would be defeated in a single move. Simply incomprehensible. What is this bastard doing? He had the advantage of time, place, and people. Moreover, he was on the high ground. Yet, he was still borrowed by the opponent. He was even kicked in the butt by the opponent. How can this person be so stupid? You only need to use 1000 Jin to fall, and he will have no place to borrow power. He can only fall with you. There are thousands of people waiting below. How can he escape? He even used 2 moves to let the opponent borrow power. This is simply incomprehensible. The sword spirit chattered on with deep disdain. He pointed out the flaws of each move, each person's flaws, and what should be done to make up for it. Chu Yang combined what he had learned and verified it one by one. For a moment, he was stunned. He did not feel that the sword spirit was being overly long-winded, because Chu Yang suddenly realized that there were many things where the sword spirit's methods hit the nail on the head. Moreover, they were the most effective and the simplest methods. Rather than saying that the sword spirit pointed out the flaws of each move, it would be better to say that the sword spirit pointed out the common mistakes of the martial artist's hearts. The sword spirit sighed and pointed out the flaws of these 3 king-level experts with a disdainful tone. It was as if a weasel had given birth to a mouse. As he spoke, he was somewhat dispirited. A feeling of loneliness rose from the top. The sword spirit also finally lost interest in commenting. He only sighed. How many years has it been? How could each and every one of the martial artists be so weak? I don't even have any interest in commenting or scolding him. This lower 3 heavens really doesn't have any fun. Chapter 169. Tao cannot bend, Tao Chi can bend. Just this one sentence broke through the biggest misunderstanding of the cultivation world. After this battle, the entire Iron Cloud Citadel was quiet for a while. Benja, good person, Golden Horse Riders department was completely honest. They had 2 king-level leaders and 2 were seriously injured. 10 out of 10 were dead, and the rest were also seriously injured. They could not be arrogant even if they wanted to. Instead, they had to worry about being surrounded by Butian Pavilion. This was the time when they were most anxious. The Hamo people were even more depressed. The 3 king-level leaders were all injured. Sol Hook Dao Wang stayed at Butian Pavilion for half a day. He felt ashamed and unhappy. He went back to Cloud Gate Inn to rest. Dao Wang did not feel anything. First of all, this guy was a bit simple-minded. He was still immersed in his own peerless wisdom. Second of all, the other party's cultivation was higher than his. In the next 3 days, Chu Yang focused all his efforts on Su Xin Sheng's line. This time, he managed to capture more than 700 people, including the specific members and the clans. The entire Butian Pavilion was busy. So, Minister Chu arranged everything. Then he became a hands-off manager. During this time, Chu Yang did not even go out to challenge people. He just sat there alone, frowning and thinking hard. Then he would use his hand to make a few gestures. Even in Heavenly Pavilion, he did not try to break through his limits. Every day, other than teasing Mo Qingwu, he just sat there quietly meditating. How to turn the energy in the Dantian into Dao Qi and pour it into the Dao body. Then release it with a little bit of energy to create a myriad of different effects. It could bend, it could go around, it could go in a circle. This was a huge breakthrough. Normally, Dao Qi and sword energy would go in the direction of the Dao tip. Even though the power was great, it was indomitable. As long as it was avoided, it would be fine. But if Chu Yang had been thinking about this for the past few days. Because of this, he spent more time looking for Dong Wushang. Wushang, how is Dao Qi formed? Dao Qi is the desolate Qi of the Dao body. Infuse the desolate Qi of the entire Dao body into the Dao power and use the Dao to strike out. The Dao Qi can be formed naturally. In other words, Da Qi will only turn into Da Qi after going through Da Qi. This question stunned Dong Wushang. What kind of aura is this without going through the body of a virgin? Could it be that this boss's brain was muddled? In other words, when the Dao Qi is released, it is released unconsciously, right? Or should I say 1Do Qi, hey, don't go. The problem of sword Qi had caused Dong Wushang to have a mental breakdown. Boss Chu then started to study sword Qi. After all, they were of the same origin. Duxing, how do you think sword Qi is formed? Is this external Qi, this sword Qi, hey, don't go? The five brothers did not know whether to laugh or cry at this kind of conversation. Every day, this boss would grab onto a person and ask these questions as if he was in a dream with this expression of deep contemplation on his face. This was not the first time he asked these questions that all the martial artists in Fort Continent knew. He was very patient. In the end, Boss Chu turned his attention to Mo Qingyu. Senior Mo, please aim at the lake and release a Dao. What for? Release a Dao at the lake in front of you. I want to see if your Dao Qi can hit the tree on your right. Dao, you are crazy. Mo Qingyu also did not know what to do. Release a Dao at the front and hit the tree on the right? This is Dao Qi, not a hidden weapon. It is also not primordial Qi. In the end, Chu Yang had no choice but to experiment on his own. But even after thousands of swings, he still had no results. At this time, Chu Yang's eyes lit up. He had discovered a great talent, Mo Qingwu. The little lowly loved dancing star dream to the bone. She would hug it to sleep. When there was nothing to do, especially when there were many people around, she would take it out and wave it a few times. Every time she took it out, GMO and the others' eyes would almost pop out. Especially Dong Wushang. Every time he saw the Dao, his eyes would turn into searchlights, shining brightly. Mo Qingwu enjoyed this gaze very much. Brother Wushang, Brother Shang, do you like it? The little lowly blinked cutely. I like it. Dong Wushang swallowed his saliva. Even if you like it, I won't give it to you. The little lowly smiled proudly. Brother GMO, Brother Shang, do you like it? She blinked cutely. I don't like it. GMO said with a straight face. Why don't you like it? Why don't you like it? It is such a good Dao, you can't not like it. The little lowly did not give up. Her eyes were watery. Alright, I like it. GMO had no choice but to raise his hands in surrender. Even if I like it, I won't give it to you. The little lowly smiled triumphantly. GMO wanted to cry. Brother Duxing, Brother Shui, do you like it? Gu Du Xing died in defeat. Finally, Big Brother Chu found Mo Qingwu, this little lowly who wouldn't be annoyed by him. She is a perfect target. Little Wu, come. What are you doing? Brother Chu Yang, Brother Ho? Do you like that dado? I like it. Do you want to know how to use it? Then, alright, pull out your Dao and point it at the lake in front of you. Let me see if you feel anything on your right side. Swish, swish, swish. Do you feel anything, Brother Chu Yang? I don't feel anything. Maybe you didn't practice it correctly. Try this. Swish, swish. Do you feel anything? Brother Chu Yang, Brother Ho? I still don't feel anything. Try this again. First point at your dantian, then at your meridians. Swish, swish, swish. Do you feel anything? Or, do this again. Swish, swish, swish. Why don't you feel anything? Why don't you feel anything? Woo, woo, woo. Why don't I feel anything? Don't worry, try this again. Swish, swish. Swish, swish. Do you feel anything? No, my arms are sore, woo, woo. You still don't feel anything. Then rest for a while. No, you must feel something. Swish, swish. Swish. Do you feel anything? Do you feel anything? Do you feel anything? Do you feel anything? Chu Yang collapsed. 3 days later, Qing Yunrui he arrived late. He used the identity of a merchant group as a cover to enter Iron Cloud Citadel. At this moment, Iron Cloud Citadel was in a state of chaos and crisis. Even at the city gates, one could smell the faint smell of blood in the air. After expending a lot of effort to contact Kong Shang Exin, Qing Yunrui he was shocked. This king-level master, who had only arrived 3 days earlier than him, now looked like a tuberculosis ghost. His face was yellow and he could not sit for long before coughing. After coughing for a while, he would spit out a mouthful of blood. Next to him, Yin Wu Fan was also coughing, but he was gradually recovering. Wasn't it said that only king-level leader Yin was seriously injured? How come even Kong Shang Exin became like this? I'm afraid there is a mistake in your deduction. Kong Shang Exin sighed. That king of Hell Chu is indeed a king-level leader. Moreover, he is an 8th grade king-level leader. Cheng Yunrui he was shocked by these words. Yin Wu Fan said he was a king-level leader. After everyone's analysis, they concluded that this matter was not true. Now, Kong Shang Xin, who had previously believed Diwu Qing Ro's spine was broken, immediately changed his tune after coming here. One king-level leader said yes, the other also said yes. This is worth thinking about. You fought with King of Hell Chu? Cheng Yunrui he asked solemnly. He suddenly realized that there were fewer people and could not help but ask, did you disperse the others? Cough cough cough. Kong Shang Xin coughed twice. He felt guilty and his face was ugly. He did not know what to say. His initial plan was to wait for Cheng Yun and Kuei He to arrive before he could take action. However, he couldn't wait to take action as soon as he arrived. Not only did he suffer such heavy injuries, but he also lost the lives of 10 experts. What should he say? Seeing Kong Shang Xion's expression, Cheng Yunrui he felt a chill in his heart. His face also became pale. He probed, did you fight with King of Hell Chu? I did not fight. Kong Shang Xin angrily said, are you blind? If you did not fight, then where did my injuries come from? Cheng Yunrui he was stunned. He stared at him for a while. Kong Shang Xin did not show any weakness. After a while, Cheng Yunrui he let out a long sigh. It's over, bull. Kong Shang Xin harumphed and said, what's the matter? 1 inch those people, did you also take action? Where are they? Cheng Yunrui he still had a glimmer of hope. Gone. Kong Shang Xin became anxious and said, if they were not there, would they not have come out when you came? Do you really need me to explain this kind of thing? Was your head kicked by a donkey? Cheng Yunrui he was dumbfounded. Even if he had a good temper, he could not hold it in. He angrily said, you acted without permission and ruined the plan of the Prime Minister. You lost the lives of so many masters. Do you still think you are in the right? Bullshit. Kong Shang Xin was furious. His eyes were red as he said, you think I want to lose? You think I want to be injured? They are all my brothers and they are also my brothers. You think I do not feel bad? You are twisting words and twisting logic. Cheng Yunrui he said sternly. Yin Wu Fu was lying on the side. At this moment he sat up and said, second brother, official Cheng, don't talk too much. The important thing is, what should we do in the future? What should we do in the future? What can we do now? Cheng Yunrui he angrily said, right now, your second brother has made a mess of everything. Cheng Yunrui he had always acted slowly. He was rarely anxious. No matter what happened, he was always in order. He would rather not do anything than not make a mistake. Regarding Cheng Yunrui he, Diwu Qing Ro once said, fighting for supremacy in chaotic times is not enough to expand the territory. But in times of peace and stability, he can be a prime minister. Chapter 170. It was because of this that Diwu Qing Ro gave him such an important task. This was because Ironclad's side was a mess. Only someone like Cheng Yun he could slowly grind out the truth. Moreover, he was the best person to use his lukewarm water to deal with any enemies he might have, or to make friends with. The good thing about this person was that he could endure what others could not. Even in the worst situation, he could still find a way out. At the very least, he could reduce the losses. Today's anger was the first time in Cheng Yunhe's life. How could things be in such a mess? Yin Wu Fa disagreed. The Prime Minister said that king-level leader Yin was deceived. In other words, you were framed. Cheng Yunhe sighed, but his emotions returned to normal. If the enemy could fool you once, how could they not fool you a second time? The claim that King of Hell Chu is a king-level leader is not credible. This is the first reason. The second reason is that number 1 is one of our main targets. Last night's operation alerted the enemy. Ironclad is now on guard, so number 1 is in danger. Even if he survives, the hope of saving him is gone. At this point, Cheng Yun he let out a long sigh and continued, if the Prime Minister knew, he would be heartbroken. Isn't it just number 1? He is just an intelligence officer. Even if he is a bit scheming, what can he do? In the end, he cannot affect the big picture. Kong Shang Xian said with disdain. Do you know who number 1 is? Cheng Yun, he looked at Kong Shang Xen sadly. You acted on your own and ruined number 1's life. Do you not know who he is? Normally, this kind of operation is handled by Golden Horse Riders Department. This time, because of this matter, the Prime Minister personally arranged it. This time, he felt that the situation was serious, so he sent me here to prevent you from acting recklessly. Do you know why the Prime Minister values you so much? Kong Shang Xen felt a bit uneasy. At the beginning of this operation, when King-level leader Yin came, the Prime Minister had already warned us not to assassinate Tai Budian. Whether Tai Budian was dead or alive was still uncertain. As long as the assassination was carried out, regardless of whether she was dead or alive, Iron Cloud would be enraged. With nowhere to vent his anger, he would deal with number 1 and kill him. This shows that the Prime Minister regards number 1 as more important than Tai Budian. Cheng Yun, he said, this time, the Prime Minister saw how important King of Hell Chu is to Iron Cloud. He emphasized that this mission is to save number 1 and clear up the misunderstanding with that mysterious clan. He also said that if we are not certain, we should not touch King of Hell Chu. Do you know why? Pay attention to the order of the Prime Minister's words. Save number 1 and clear up the misunderstanding with the mysterious family. The words save number 1 are in front. Cheng Yun, he let out a long sigh. The Prime Minister was afraid that you would let your emotions affect your decisions, so he specifically told you to wait for me to arrive and discuss before you could take action. Did he really not have any intentions? That is because the Prime Minister knows that I understand how important number 1 is to the Prime Minister. Cheng Yun, he sighed. Who is number 1? Kong Shang Xian's forehead was already sweating. Cheng Yun, he had said so much. If he really could not understand the importance of number 1, then he should really die. The Prime Minister's master only taught 2 disciples in his life. Cheng Yun, he said in a low voice, do you know who the other one is? Could it be number 1? Kong Shang Xen suddenly became tongue-tied. His forehead was full of sweat. If it is not number 1, then could it be you? Cheng Yun, he looked at him angrily. That year, the Prime Minister and his martial brother were brothers. Number 1 was younger than the Prime Minister by 8 years. They relied on each other since childhood. The 2 of them served Great Zhao at the same time. However, one was in the light while the other was in the dark. Number 1 never revealed his real name in front of others. When the Prime Minister first created Golden Horse Riders Department, this idea and the initial creation were the 2 of them working together. Later on, the Grand Master gradually became famous in Great Zhao. Number 1 gradually faded out of everyone's sight. However, after 7 or 8 years, there was news of a saint in Iron Cloud. Do you know why? Cheng Yun, he said in a low voice. At that time, the Prime Minister, me, Han Bu-chu, and number 1 drank together. At this point, Cheng Yun, he sighed and could not help but remember the scene at that time. At that time, the 4 of them were very young. Number 1 was only in his 20s. After 3 rounds of drinking, the 4 of them were already a little tipsy. At that time, Di Wuqing Ro's authority was not as great as it was now. After getting drunk, they talked about their life's ambition. At that time, Di Wuqing Ro said, since ancient times, Heavenly Layer has never had one person unify the world. It has always been divided and chaotic. My life's ambition is to unify this vast world with my hands. At that time, Di Wuqing Ro was holding a wine cup. Although his eyes were drunk, they were deep and profound. As a man, I have to stand above the blue sky, the sun and the moon. I have to step on the land for thousands of miles. I have to look down on billions of creatures and command the heroes of the universe. Lying on a beauty's lap while drunk is just a mediocre pervert. Waking up to control the world is a man's dream. A man's life is full of power and fame. Why would he need a beauty? Cheng Yunhe's tone was very calm, but there was a hint of helplessness in his tone. Wait until you are back to your peak condition, then we will continue. Then, won't the Prime Minister's plan be delayed indefinitely? Yin Wu Fa asked. But if we go out now, we will only die. Cheng Yunhe said, you are injured to this point, You can't even protect yourselves. How can you talk about business? How long will it take for your injuries to heal? Mine will probably take another month. Wu Fa coldly snorted. His eyes flashed with hatred. Even with the jade spirit ginseng, he still needed a month to heal. It was easy to imagine how serious his injuries were. I need half a month. Kong Shangxin said casually. If I had to force it, I would have recovered in 10 days. His eyes were cold as he said, but I can guarantee that King of Hell Chu's injuries are much worse than mine. They are 2 king-level leaders. The others' injuries may not be lighter than mine. His tone was full of arrogance. That is not King of Hell Chu. Cheng Yun he sighed helplessly. How could this king-level leader Kong be so sure? Golden Horse Riders Department had 4 king-level leaders, and 2 of them were in the same circle. This was really strange. What kind of method did the Real King of Hell Chu use? I will immediately report this matter to the Prime Minister. Cheng Yun he took a deep breath and said, Second Master Kong, please tell me everything that has happened in the past few days. The Prime Minister needs the most accurate information. Only then can he make the most accurate judgment. Kong Shangxian's face was full of awkwardness. He grunted in agreement. You don't need the Jade Spirit Ginseng for your injuries, right? Give me the remaining 2 Jade Spirit Ginseng. Cheng Yun he made a prompt decision and took back the 2 priceless treasures from Kong Shangxian's hands. Chapter 171. On this day, Butian Pavilion was still as busy as ever. After the purge, the 2 hall leaders also had a lot of free time. Tai Butian made a rare ruthless decision to uproot these people and kill them all. That day, Iron Cloud Citadel was filled with the smell of blood. More than 1,300 people died under the butcher's knife. That day was also Qingbing He's second day in Iron Cloud Citadel. From capturing these people to killing them, there were only 4 days in total. There were also interrogations and verifications. Tai Budian had invested a huge amount of manpower, material resources, and military power, but such a speed was still astounding. Iron Cloud Citadel fell into an unprecedented state of shock. Everyone knew that King of Hell Chu was the only one who could have done such a big thing. In a short time, King of Hell Chu's notoriety reached another level. In Iron Cloud Citadel, his name was enough to stop children from crying at night. If you don't listen, I will let King of Hell Chu come and capture you. And so, everyone was using these words to intimidate Chu Yang. But it seemed that no one had thought that anyone who could make King of Hell Chu take action was a simple character. Because of the rise of King of Hell Chu, Butian Pavilion's power and influence had attracted even more people. During this time, Cheng Ong and Qin Yutong, who had just finished their busy work, were once again given a heavy responsibility: screening new people, training new people, and perfecting the 3 halls of Butian Pavilion. These tasks were the most troublesome for the 2. If they did well, there would be no merit. But if there was any mistake, the consequences would be on their heads. Anyone could imagine what kind of treatment they would receive if they made a mistake under King of Hell Chu. The 2 of them had once joined hands to protest to King of Hell Chu, asking for a change of job. Even sneaking into Great Zhao to carry out espionage activities was much easier than this kind of work. It would be best if King of Hell Chu did this himself. That way, everyone would have an easier time. But King of Hell Chu's one sentence rejected the 2 of them. If I did it myself, what would I want you to do? I also want to be promoted and get rich just by sitting there. If you have the opportunity, you can introduce me. If you don't want to do it, you can resign and become a soldier in your original hall. Naturally, I will not assign you. Cheng Ong and Qin Yutong left with their tails between their legs. But in his heart, he was cursing. Damn it, aren't you just sitting around doing nothing to get promoted and get rich? You make a cup of tea every day, read children's books, and enjoy the hardships of the old men, but you're still making sarcastic remarks. Of course, these words couldn't be said in front of King of Hell Chu. Wu Qianqian was relatively relaxed during this period of time. That was because King of Hell Chu was either reading children's books or daydreaming. Wu Qianqian only needed to do her part every day, and everything would be fine. However, Wu Qianqian had a different feeling now. Every time she passed by King of Hell Chu's but she wanted to ruthlessly kick it under the black robe. This little bastard is really trembling now. I forgot how I taught Li Jianyin a lesson back then. Also, I haven't settled the score with him for scolding me for no reason that day. Time passed smoothly. In the afternoon, King of Hell Chu was about to leave when he was informed that a guest had come to visit. It was the Heimo Saber King. This time, to Chu Yang's surprise, the Saber King came to say goodbye. King-level leader Soul Catcher's injury was very serious, and he felt humiliated, so he didn't want to stay here any longer. Sword King's injury was even worse. He needed to go back to the lower three heavens to rest. With his strength greatly reduced, the Mo clan still had several king-level masters in lower three heavens. If they came, the Heimo people would be wiped out. Therefore, after some discussion, the three of them decided to temporarily give up their mission in lower three heavens. They would return to lower three heavens and wait for an opportunity to come back. This matter caught Chu Yang off guard. He guessed that even though he hadn't found the people from Golden Horse Riders Department, they were definitely still in Iron Cloud Citadel. There was no doubt about this. Chu Ji was still thinking about how to make the Black Demons and the Golden Horse Riders Department fight each other once again. He didn't expect them to leave. If they left, he could only rely on Butian Pavilion's current strength to deal with these revered martial artists and king-level masters. This was 10 times more dangerous than before. Same generation, this. King of Hell Chu really wanted to say, if you leave, who will be the scapegoat? But when the words reached his mouth, he swallowed them back down. I also know that we are giving up halfway. However, if we continue to stay here, it will be too dangerous for us. The Heimo Saber King was also a little depressed. After all, some of the plans he had discussed with King of Hell Chu had not been carried out yet. If they left now, it would seem like they were running away. But the situation was pressing. They had to leave. If official Chu comes to lower three heavens one day, this old man will definitely welcome you with wine. Heimo Saber King Soft Cloud said this with sincerity. This sincerity made King of Hell Chu feel ashamed. If there is time, I will definitely visit lower three heavens. Since the other party had already decided to leave, Chu Yang naturally accepted. Goodbye. The Saber King left with a bit of reluctance. Chu Yang's heart also had an indescribable feeling. The Heimo clan was equivalent to a huge assassin clan. Moreover, they were very ambitious. Everyone was cruel and merciless. Chu Yang's impression of them had never been good. Ever since he found out that Mo Qingwu was injured for the rest of her life because of them, Chu Yang made up his mind. I must eradicate the Heimo clan from the roots. Especially the people in Iron Cloud Citadel. Not a single one of them would be able to leave. If sowing discord and framing could not kill them all, Chu Yang was prepared to do it himself. Even though the Saber King was a lover, his cruel nature was also a fact. But after working together for a while, Chu Yang gave up on this idea. He had seen Mo Qingyu's worries during this period of time. He also knew what Mo Qingyu was worried about. Mo Qingwu's situation after returning to the clan was not optimistic. Chu Yang could not change the Mo clan's decision. In other words, sooner or later, there would be a conflict with the Mo clan. But right now, he had no foundation. At that time, perhaps he could use today's friendship to borrow the strength of the Heimo clan? This was Chu Yang's long-term plan. The people of the Heimo clan left Iron Cloud Citadel on the same day. After they left, King of Hell Chu's face became even uglier. An oppressive feeling weighed down on the hearts of everyone in Butian Pavilion. Chu Yang also knew that he could not blindly rely on external forces. Only by relying on his own strength and influence was the right way to go. But the problem was that he currently had no strength. Up until now, this Butian Pavilion could only be considered an empty shell. Against ordinary people and ordinary officials, it was more than enough. But against the masters of Golden Horse Riders Department, it was far from enough. This situation was far from enough to deal with the strong, but it was more than enough to deal with the weak. This made Minister Chu frown. Butian Pavilion's personnel had greatly expanded. There were nearly 400 people. Most of the new members were martial artists, and a small number were martial masters. As for martial great masters, there was only one pitiful person. There was no one above martial great master. Against Golden Horse Riders Department, the weakest of whom was a martial great master, King of Hell Chu was at his wit's end. Helplessly, Chu Yang hardened his heart. Within 3 days, he must find the hiding place of Golden Horse Riders Department. Right now, the 2 king-level leaders of Golden Horse Riders Department were seriously injured. He could only take advantage of their weakness to take their lives. Quickly cut the Gordian knot. If he waited for 3 days, the 2 king-level leaders would recover some of their strength. At that time, it would be difficult to deal with them. Once Hamo left, Butian Pavilion would be a lamb waiting to be slaughtered in the hands of the 2 king-level leaders. Because of this, King of Hell Chu even cordially met with the leaders of the 3 big clans in Iron Cloud Citadel. Although they were called big clans, in reality, they were just local thugs. Each name was louder than the last. One was called Golden Dragon Clan, one was called Divine Arts Sect, and one was actually called Heavenly Cloud Sect. Right now, the 3 gang leaders were like primary school students as they sat obediently in the main hall of Heaven Mending Pavilion. Their faces were pale, and their eyes were filled with fear. Their limbs and legs would occasionally tremble uncontrollably. They could not help but panic. In front of them was the fiercest person in the history of Iron Cloud Nation, King of Hell Chu. The 3 of them looked at the sinister and terrifying mask, the ghost-like black robe, the chilling gaze, the merciless aura of an assassin, and the might of someone who had the power to control the life and death of the world. They couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. These gangs weren't small. Each of them had more than 1,000 hoodlums and scoundrels under their command. But everyone knew that as long as King of Hell Chu gave the word, these more than 1,000 people would all become human heads that would be hung on the wall. No one dared to doubt this. Chu Yan's wife had just reorganized the government. Could it be that she was now reorganizing the underworld? Otherwise, why would such a big shot above the clouds summon the 3 hoodlums? The more they thought about it, the more scared they became. And the more they trembled. Especially, King of Hell Chu had remained silent since he had come out. He hadn't said a single word. He had only looked at them with a cold and murderous look in his eyes. This made them feel even more terrified. Unknowingly, the leader of the Golden Dragon Gang began to play the pipa with his legs. The leader of the Magical Arts Sect was sweating profusely like a waterfall, and his eyes were misty. As for the leader of the Heavenly Cloud Gate, he was fighting fiercely with his 2 rows of teeth. The more he wanted to clench his teeth and stop them from trembling, the louder the clacking sounds became. In fact, Chu Yang was just casually sizing them up. He was thinking about what to say. He did not expect to scare the 3 of them to this extent. Do the 3 of you know why I called you here? King of Hell Chu's voice was very calm and even very warm. Chapter 172. This was what the 3 of them were thinking. King of Hell Chu, please spare me. The leader of Golden Dragon Gang knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Then he began to slap himself again and again. He was so upset that tears flowed out of his eyes. What the fuck did I just say? I actually called him King of Hell Chu when I was begging for mercy. This is a nickname. Motherfucker. If King of Hell Chu doesn't like it, then I'll have to say goodbye to my head, Official Chu. Minister Chu. Route Song. He slapped himself dozens of times until his face swelled up like a pig's head. Then he finally stopped. Bang, 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 bang. He kowtowed with all his strength. After a few kowtows, there was an eye-catching pool of blood on the ground. When the other 2 saw this, they were scared out of their wits. They thought that the leader of Golden Dragon Gang had heard something or knew some inside story. This time, the leader of Heavenly Cloud Sect trembled and kowtowed like an old sow. As for the leader of Magical Arts Sect, he did not have any magical power left. He collapsed on the ground like mud with tears and snot. Official Chu, please spare me. Poor me, I have a 10-year-old mother and a 1-month-old child. Chu Yang was stunned. Chu Yang was startled. Am I that scary? Didn't I just say a few words? On the other side, Cheng Ong and Qin Yutong's faces were flushed red, and they almost burst out laughing. These three bastards were simply three super clowns. They even called themselves leaders of a sect. The minister had only said one sentence, and it was a very gentle sentence. But they had all become paralyzed at the same time. There was a strange sound. It was obvious that someone was about to lose control and spill gold. Sit down. King of Hell Chu was a little depressed. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. He suddenly yelled, "Today, if anyone loses control of their bowels, I will exterminate their clan." The Firmament Cloud Sect's sect master, who had just let out a fart, immediately stiffened his buttocks, as hard as steel. Now, even if someone used a steel knife to pry open his buttocks, they would not be able to pry open his buttocks. King of Hell Chu had discovered that they would overthink things if he were to speak nicely to them. Therefore, it was better to use harsh words and harsh expressions to get the desired effect. Sit back down. I will exterminate your clan if you shed a single tear or cry. King of Hell Chu roared. King of Hell Chu was very familiar with the phrase, exterminate other clans. However, the reality was that King of Hell Chu didn't even know which clan he belonged to. The three of them immediately sat back down in an orderly manner. They sat with their heads down and their noses straight. If his subordinates saw this, their jaws would definitely drop to the ground. Each of the three of you has thousands of subordinates, or rather, rogues and ruffians. Bring disaster to the village and dominate the region. I've often heard people say that you can handle things that the government can handle, and you can handle things that the government can't handle. 3 sect masters, sect masters, sect masters, you guys are awesome. Chu Yang instantly changed his strategy. Since they are so afraid of me, then it would be useless to try to appease them. It would be better to intimidate them to the end. These words immediately caused the 3 local tyrants to tremble as if they were on the verge of collapse. King of Hell Chu's words were full of murderous intent. Even though I am in charge of Butian Pavilion, why do I feel that in some aspects, my prestige is far worse than the 3 of you? Chu Yang coldly said. We do not dare. The 3 of them knelt down at the same time and kowtowed like they were pounding garlic. I know that you do not dare. King of Hell Chu snorted and coldly shouted. Then there was no more sound. The 3 below were scared out of their wits. They were sweating profusely and did not dare to move. They had never been so afraid of Ironcloud Nation's Butian Tai, but today, they were truly scared out of their wits. Even though Butian Tai had great prestige, he was still reasonable. However, this King of Hell Chu in front of them was clearly an unreasonable person. Originally, I wanted to uproot all of you. I, Chu Yang, can reorganize the bureaucracy. How many high-ranking officials have turned into piles of bones in my hands? Do you think I can't reorganize the common people? Chu Yang continued to intimidate them. The 3 of them became even more scared. Their faces turned pale. The Divine Arts sect's leader's eyes turned white as if he could faint at any moment. However, I have always been kind and do not like to kill. King of Hell Chu's words made the 3 feel as if they were listening to a joke, but they did not laugh at all. Therefore, today I am giving you a chance to live. King of Hell Chu casually said, please believe that if you don't want this chance, it would be for the best for me. We want it. The 3 of them were not stupid, who did not know that if they did not want it, they would really disappear forever. King of Hell Chu did not care about a 10-year-old mother or a 1-month-old child when he wanted to kill people. If you want to fart, you need to use a bit of strength. However, King of Hell Chu did not even need to use the slightest bit of strength when he gave the order to exterminate an entire clan. Very well. King of Hell Chu's expression was not one of concern. He said, right now, there are too many unfamiliar faces in Ironcloud Citadel. What I need are new faces who have entered Ironcloud Citadel in the last 2 weeks. I will not hide this matter from you. I need to find traitors and spies. I need information on these people. King of Hell Chu said solemnly, is 3 days enough time? 3 days? The 3 of them looked at each other. After 3 days, if you cannot find them, then you will begin to flee on the night of the third day. King of Hell Chu leaned back and leisurely reclined on his armchair. He then insipidly said, I don't like to talk about conditions. I don't like to talk about difficulties. My favorite thing is to see the results that I want. I will not give you any benefits, but if you can find them after 3 days, you can continue to exist. If you can complete the mission well, then I will most likely find you to work together. I will directly assign you to Butian Pavilion. I will give you and your subordinates fame and wealth. But if you do not find anything after 3 days, Chu Yang suddenly straightened his back and smiled gently. You 3 after 18 years, you will be 3 heroes again. After he finished speaking, he waved his hand and said, see the guests out. When the 3 triad leaders walked out, they felt their legs go soft. Their bodies were covered in cold sweat. The cold wind outside the door made them feel as if they had just woken up from a dream. The 3 of them looked at each other and felt the lingering fear in each other's eyes. But for some reason, what left the deepest impression on the 3 of them was King of Hell Chu's promise. If you can complete the mission well, then I will most likely find you to work together again. I will directly assign you to Butian Pavilion. I will give you and your subordinates fame and wealth. King of Hell Chu made so many threats, but the 3 of them did not have a deep impression of him. The only thing that left the deepest impression was his promise. This was King of Hell Chu's promise. These thugs who lived at the lowest level of society, which one of them did not want to stand out? Which one of them did not want to bring glory to their ancestors? Thugs also did not want to be thugs for their entire lives. As long as there was a chance to stand out, they would be more persistent than anyone else. And Chu Yang grasped this mentality. If possible, Chu Yang was willing to provide them with a way out. Even though he was threatening them, this was not Chu Yang's intention. It was for the best solution to the problem. In fact, no matter if they were from upper 3 heavens, lower 3 heavens, or upper 3 heavens, which one of them did not have the spirit of a bachelor? Which one of them was not a fugitive? But it was these fugitives that supported the legend of the Chongtian continent for tens of thousands of years. The righteous ones were the dog butchers, the heartless ones were the scholars. Sometimes, Chu Yang felt that this sentence was very reasonable. The dog butchers had not changed, so they believed in a very simple principle. If you are good to me, I will be good to you. If you give me 3 points, I will give you 10 points. If you can lose a hand for me, I will sacrifice my life for you. If you are not good to me, I will not be good to you. If you humiliate me, if you frame me, I will have no way to redress my grievances. If I have no way out, I will kill you. But after reading more, seeing more, and being more alert, you will think about whether it is worth it or not. He is good to me, but is it worth it for me to sacrifice my life for him? He has helped me, but he is in trouble now, and I am also in trouble now. If I help him, I will be in even more trouble. Is it worth it? So it is said that most people who give their hearts to one another are in Jianghu. Most betrayals are in the officialdom. There are many people who step on the heads of their benefactors to climb up in the world every day. There is a legend in lower 3 heavens. If you see a butcher who was hit by a carriage on the road, and you save him and send him to the clinic, he will be grateful to you and be your friend for life. But if you see a scholar who was hit by a carriage, don't help him. Because not only will he not be grateful to you, but he will also accuse you of hitting him. He thought like this: anyway, my family is in trouble. Anyway, the person who hit me ran away. Even if they find me, I may not be able to afford to offend them. If I don't catch someone, who will pay for my medical expenses? You do a good deed. You are kind and easy to bully. You are just right. What kind of shitty logic is this? It is simply a ****. Chu Yang did not have any ill feelings towards these people, but if he wanted to help them, he would have to see if they were worth it. Only by putting in the effort to gain recognition would he be worth it. There is no such thing as a free lunch in this world. In less than half an hour, all of Ironcloud Citadel's ruffians and scoundrels suddenly began to move. This time, it was really a sea of people. Everyone seemed to have taken an aphrodisiac. Their eyes shined with a green light as they searched for people from all directions. The army was searching, Butian Pavilion's intelligence network was searching, The detectives from the Ministry of Justice were searching, the bailiffs were searching, the ruffians were searching, the ruffians were searching, the ruffians were searching, the ruffians were searching, the beggars were searching. Even women and children were searching. Ironclad Citadel was in a frenzy to find people. Butian Pavilion's intelligence network was completely flooded with information about people from all over the place within 2 hours. They were extremely nervous as they sifted through the information. As for Minister Chu, who gave the order, he was holding a book called Puppy and Rogue Pig. He was reading it with great interest and giggling to himself. His eyes did not care about what was happening outside, he only focused on reading. Chapter 173. He had not found a way to bend the saber energy yet, but King Yanchu was not discouraged. He was still thinking about it. Over the past few days, Gu Duxing had been urging the newcomers to the Heavenly Armament Pavilion. It was also in full swing. Every day, everyone was out of breath several times. Emo Qingwu was dancing and cheering them on. Emo Qingyu's injury was also getting better by the day. In the afternoon, Wu Qianqian was sifting through the news. In order to interrupt Minister Chu's silly laughter, she deliberately read out some unimportant news. Minister Chu was like a mountain. He turned a deaf ear. However, when Wu Qianqian read out a very ordinary piece of news, King of Hell Chu suddenly straightened his back. His eyes shot out a frightening divine light. This kind of divine light was unprecedented. It made Wu Qianqian jump in fright. Her heart skipped a beat. At the south gate of the city, 2 people just came in. One old and one young. Both of them had a noble temperament. The old man was hale and hearty, and the young man was handsome and elegant. He was holding a purple jade flute. The 3 words "purple jade flute" made Chu Yang jump up as if he had been electrocuted. In his memory, Mo Tianji was Chang Dong's purple jade flute. He never left his side. First, it was for entertainment. Second, it was also a unique weapon. Plus, that flute had its own mechanism. It was very powerful. This news made Chu Yang think, could it be that Mo Tianji finally came to Ironclad Citadel? Half a year ago, he still hated this name to the bone. But now, when he heard this name again, he felt complicated and had mixed feelings. First, find out where these 2 people are. Chu Yang ordered in a hurried tone. What? Wu Qianqian did not expect Chu Yang's reaction to be so intense and strange. She did not know how to react. This old man and the young one with the purple jade flute. Find out where they are as soon as possible. Chu Yang's Dao eyes flashed with an indescribable light. 2 hours later, the sky was already dark. Chu Yang, wearing a green robe, went to the entrance of a tavern called Yulai. After asking around, he went up to the 2nd floor and came to a room. He gently knocked on the door. Who is it? A steady voice asked in a very indifferent tone. Blowing through the heavenly lake, only I hold the purple jade flute. Chu Yang said softly, the mysteries of heaven are hard to predict, but the mysteries of heaven can be predicted. The room suddenly became completely silent. After a long time, an elegant voice slowly said, interesting. Please come in. The door opened, revealing an old man's handsome face. He looked at Chu Yang with vigilance. The moment Chu Yang saw this old man, he felt a stabbing pain in his mind. The scene of him being besieged on the wind-thunder platform in the upper 3 heavens flashed across his mind like lightning. The old man in front of him was one of the 3 king-level experts that had besieged him. You are? The old man asked doubtfully. Friend. Chu Yang smiled and said, Mo Qingyu is with me. Please come in. The old man's face suddenly turned serious. His eyebrows and the corners of his eyes revealed an unconcealable joy as he moved sideways to make way. Chu Yang took a deep breath and stepped into the door. Inside the door, a young man in white stood straight. His hands were sparkling with a purple light. A purple jade flute quietly flowed with a magnificent luster. His forehead was full and his face was like jade. His eyebrows were long and his eyes were deep like 2 bottomless pools. His whole body was snow white and his hair was like a waterfall. His face was white and delicate like a girl's. However, it was full of a scholarly aura that revealed his wisdom. There was also a faint sense of fierceness. Chu Yang's heart shook. For a moment, the previous life and the current life seemed to overlap. Then, in an instant, they became mottled and distant. It could be said that Chu Yang was extremely familiar with this face. His best friend in the previous life. His only friend. However, he was the main culprit who caused him to lose his life. Emotianji. While Chu Yang was looking at Emotianji's deep eyes were also looking at Chu Yang's face. Emotianji's eyes faintly carried a hint of intelligence, but he still smiled elegantly and said, "Honored guest, please take a seat." "How can you say that I'm an honored guest if I don't come by myself?" Chu Yang said indifferently. "When I first came to the lower three heavens, those who came to find me were either enemies or honored guests." Emotianji smiled faintly and said gently, "And you are obviously not my enemy. Why are you so sure that I'm not your enemy?" Chu Yang was aggressive. "If you were my enemy, I would have died without a burial place." Emotianji smiled and turned to the table. He took out a small package from the bed and quietly opened it. Then, he picked up the teapot on the table and used his hand to carefully pinch a small handful of tea from the package. He put it into the teapot. Then he poured boiling water into the teapot and used a white cloth to block the opening of the teapot. He poured the water out and then poured boiling water into the teapot again. He loosened his hand and gently placed the teapot on the table. He said indifferently, "Old Fong, you can leave. I want to say a few words to this friend." When he was doing all this, his expression was focused. Every movement was methodical, but it was also full of rhythm. It did not make people feel the slightest bit annoyed. Instead, it made people feel that his every movement was graceful and moving. It was filled with the aura of nobility. "Second young master," the old man awkwardly called out. He came to see me, and as soon as he came in, Kuima made a sharp remark to me, but did not speak of business. I was busy with the mad tea, and he was in no hurry. Kuima Zhan waited in silence, and this self-possession proved that he was not the sort of man to be impatient, which did not accord with the aggressiveness of his words. After he came in, he only looked at me and asked me. Obviously, he had something to say to me and did not want a third person to hear. Emotianji smiled and said, "So, you go out and don't eavesdrop." When he said this, his eyes were flat and his tone was gentle and natural. However, it was filled with a kind of power that could control everything. This was Emotianji. Chu Yang praised in his heart. Just by listening to his words and looking at his actions, he knew that this second young master of the Mo clan had far surpassed his peers. Even Gu Duxing and Dong Wushang, who would be as famous as him in the future, were far inferior to him at this moment. Chu Yang also knew the reason for this point. The current Gu Duxing and the others did not have the same experience as Emotianji. Therefore, they were not very mature. Moreover, these people were born of concubines. After being deprived of their inheritance rights, they did not have much pressure. However, the current Emotianji and his elder brother Emotianyun were both born of the main wife. Moreover, they were both equally outstanding. The competition between the two brothers had already reached a climax. The current Emotianji was equivalent to being tempered 1,000 times. His every move revealed the demeanor of a great general. The old man nodded and walked out of the room. Only the sound of footsteps could be heard as he went down the stairs. "Please sit. May I know your name?" Emotianji still did not raise his head. His right hand covered the teapot and gently shook it. Every shake was filled with a strange rhythm. Chu Yang. Chu Yang slowly walked in and sat opposite him. He sat down with a golden blade and did not treat himself as an outsider. In his previous life, the thing that annoyed him the most was Xian Tianji's indifferent attitude. When he saw him like this, he wanted to grab his scalp and beat him up. He did not expect to see him again today. "Don't be impatient. Let me brew some tea for you," Emotianji gently explained. Chu Yang chuckled and quietly looked at the steam rising from the teapot. He also did not say a word. "You are the minister of Butian Pavilion, King Chu, right?" Emotianji still did not raise his head. His expression was focused on the teapot. His eyes were filled with profoundness. I really did not expect the world-famous king of Hell Chu to be so young. Chu Yang asked with interest, "How did you know?" When Brother Chu came in earlier, he said, "Emo Cheng Yu is with me." Emo Tianji gently smiled and said, "With this sentence, I can determine your identity." "I would like to hear the details." Chu Yang tilted his head and quietly said, what he enjoyed the most was listening to Emo Tianji's analysis of something that did not make sense. Moreover, it was close to the truth. It could be said that Emo Tianji had a great influence on the way he conducted himself and the way he did things since his rebirth. We were separated by the Hei Mo clan. The Hei Mo clan would have cut off the roots. As for my little sister's side, they are the weakest side. My little sister also has the 3-in meridian. She had great potential. Therefore, the Hei Mo clan would have chosen to eliminate her first. Emo Tianji casually said, "At that time, if Emo Qingyu wanted to protect my little sister, he would not have been able to do it without paying a great price. Therefore, the best outcome was to escape. When escaping, there is a limit to one's strength. The Hei Mo clan had many people and powerful martial arts. If no one helped them, they would have been able to escape for a while. But in the end, they would have fallen into the hands of the Hei Mo clan. If Emo Chengyu was with you, then my little sister must also be with you. If she was not with you, then Emo Chengyu would have been long gone." Emo Tianji smiled and explained without waiting for Chu Yang to ask. Facing the encirclement of the Hei Mo clan, the only person who could help them at this time must be a powerful person. At least in Iron Cloud Citadel, this person must be able to cover the sky with one hand. Emo Tianji calmly said, "Moreover, this person must be extremely intelligent to be able to protect the two of them in an impossible situation. This is because the Hei Mo clan would not care about your worldly power. Even if you were a powerful person, if you could not come up with a convincing explanation, you would only anger them and cause rivers of blood to flow. Therefore, this person must be extremely intelligent." Chu Yang nodded and said, "That makes sense. In Iron Cloud Citadel, there are 3 such people. The first is Tai Bu Tian, the second is Tai Long Cheng, and the third is you, King of Hell Chu." Emo Tianji faintly smiled. Tai Bu Tian and Tai Long Cheng would not cause this kind of trouble. They would not dare to take the risk, because all of Iron Cloud is on their shoulders. Emo Tianji said casually, "But how can you be sure that King of Hell Chu would take the risk?" Chu Yang provoked. Chapter 174. Because the current Butian Pavilion would not be able to do what King of Hell Chu did. Emo Tianji said, "But King of Hell Chu still did it, and he succeeded. This person does not like to take risks, but he has been forced by the situation to take risks. And I just entered the city less than 2 hours ago. When I entered this inn, I did not even have time to open my bag before you came knocking on my door. Tai But Ian can also do the same, but he won't take the risk. And you said, blowing through the heavens, only I can control the purple jade flute, and heaven's secrets are hard to predict, heaven's secrets can be predicted. These words show that you know who I am. King of Hell Chu's surname is Chu, and your name is Chu Yang." Emo Tianji casually concluded, "So, you are King of Hell Chu." At this time, the tea in his hand had just finished brewing. Emo Tianji took a teacup from the table and gently pushed it in front of Chu Yang. He gently lifted his wrist and a wisp of green tea slowly poured into the teacup. Steam rose and covered his face. When the teacup was full, he said the last sentence on this topic, "With so many clues, if you are not King of Hell Chu, then I can only say that Emo Tianji am blind." "Ha! You are really amazing." Chu Yang looked at the tea in front of him with interest and asked, "Is this the legendary Tianji tea?" "Not really." Emo Tianji poured a cup for himself and slowly sat down. Tianji tea has Tianji tea scale, Tianji pot, Tianji cup, Tianji water, and Tianji tea. Only Emo Tianji can personally brew tea for it to be Tianji tea. Emo Tianji said apologetically, "But when you are outside, Brother Chu can only drink Tianji tea and Mo Tianji's tea. It cannot be considered a complete Tianji tea. I see. Chu Yang picked up the teacup and took a sip. He smiled and said, actually, I did not taste Mo Tianji's tea. Mo Tianji laughed and said, as long as Brother Chu is willing one day, you will taste Mo Tianji's tea. These words clearly meant that as long as Brother Chu was his friend, he would naturally know who Mo Tianji was. Chu Yang nodded and said, but this tea is too expensive. I'm afraid I can't afford it. Mo Tianji thoughtfully looked at him. He remained silent for a while. Then he asked, how is my younger sister Xiao Wu? He had always been very calm, but when he asked this question, a hint of urgency flashed through his eyes. In fact, his eyes were filled with worry. He had not dared to ask and had been using bohai tea to calm his mind. However, even now, when he finally asked, his voice was still unable to calm down. Mo Tianji cared for his younger sister more than an ordinary brother and sister. Moreover, Mo Tianji could faintly smell something ominous from Chu Yang's words. You saved my sister, so why can't you afford to drink my tea? Even if you want to drink it for an entire lifetime, you still have it. But you said that you can't afford it. It's obvious that something's wrong with my sister. Mo Tianji did not say these words out loud, but his heart was very clear. That was why he lost his composure. There's one thing that I'm very puzzled about. Chu Yang drank his tea and casually said, Brother Mo has always been known as a heavenly secret. Your wisdom is outstanding, and your plans are flawless. Very few things can escape your eyes. Brother Mo has shown this ability just now. I firmly believe in Brother Mo's wisdom. But at that time, when you heard that an ancient site had appeared, Brother Mo hurriedly went there. It seemed that you did not suspect that it was a trap. Chu Yang put down the teacup and raised his head with a bang sound. He looked straight into Mo Tianji's sharp eyes. They were like two sharp blades. He coldly said, this is completely inconsistent with Brother Mo's wisdom. It was also because of your carelessness that Xiao Wu fell into a trap and got hurt. I want to hear Brother Mo's explanation for this matter. Mo Tianji suddenly tightened his grip on the teacup. He lowered his head, but Chu Yang could clearly feel a pair of sharp eyes coldly looking at him from behind his black hair. What status do you have to ask me to explain to you? Mo Tianji lowered his head and coldly said, even if you don't explain, I can guess a thing or two. Could it be that your sister is also a stumbling block to your clan's hegemony? Chu Yang fiercely said, your sister has always been on good terms with you. Everyone knows this. If something happens to your sister, no one will suspect you, Mo Tianji. Isn't that right? What are you trying to say? Mo Tianji slowly raised his head and looked at Chu Yang. Am I, Mo Tianji, that kind of person? If something happens to your sister, and it's actually so coincidental, right after Mo Tianyun left, Mo Tianyun will definitely not be able to escape suspicion. As long as the clan is angry and blames Mo Tianyun, you will have a chance. And you are also a legitimate son. You have always been on par with Mo Tianyun. At this time, you only need to say one word, and you can replace him. Chu Yang said coldly, losing a biological sister in exchange for a lifetime of being able to dance with the wind and clouds, and wield great power. He slightly leaned forward and got close to Mo Tianji's eyes. He deeply said, even though you will feel guilty for a lifetime, this transaction can still be done. It's still very worthwhile. Don't you think so? Second young master Mo? Mo Tianji stared at him and breathed heavily. Suddenly, the teacup in his hand shattered. Then he suddenly slammed the table. With a crashing sound, the entire table turned into wood chips. He angrily said, Chu Yang, don't judge a gentleman's heart with the heart of a petty person. I, Mo Tianji, would rather kill myself than hurt my sister. What do you know? What do you know? You actually dare to judge me like this? Emananji gritted his teeth and his eyes suddenly became blood red. If it weren't for the fact that you saved my sister, I would have killed you. With a schwa sound, the old man who had just left jumped out of the window and asked, Second young master, what's wrong? A pair of eyes full of murderous intent looked at Chu Yang. Get out! Get out! Mo Tianji roared and pointed at the window. The old man hesitated for a moment and finally disappeared with a whoosh sound. What's wrong? Did I say something? Are you angry out of humiliation? Chu Yang looked at him mockingly. His heart felt refreshed. In his previous life, Mo Tianji had never lost his composure. Even if all the bones in his body were broken bit by bit, his face would still be elegant and calm. But now, Chu Yang knew that in this world, there was only one person who could make Mo Tianji lose his composure, and that was Mo Qingwu. Mo Tianji's love for this younger sister of his had reached the peak of perfection. So, Chu Yang now used Mo Qingwu to viciously stab him. If not, Mo Tianji would not be able to tell the truth. Because this matter was also the deepest doubt in Chu Yang's heart. Mo Tianji would never have made such a low-level mistake. As for the news that Mo Tianji killed Mo Qingwu to frame Mo Tianyun, it was purely fabricated by Chu Yang to anger Mo Tianji. Others may not understand Mo Tianji's pride, but Chu Yang knew. This person was purely a person who was proud to the end of time. Even if Mo Tianji wanted to succeed, he had to succeed perfectly. Mo Tianji would not want an imperfect success. Not to mention using his own sister's death to frame his own brother. Mo Tianji took a few deep breaths and slowly sat down. He asked indifferently, "How is Xiao Wu?" "You speak first," Chu Yang said coldly. Mo Tianji took a deep breath and his emotions miraculously calmed down. He could see from Chu Yang's eyes that if he did not speak, King of Hell Chu would not give in. "In this life, you are the first," Mo Tianji said softly, "to be able to force me to speak the words I did not want to. As expected of King of Hell Chu." "Amazing." Mo Tianji smiled, "You will pay for this debt one day. I have no interest in listening to your nonsense." Chu Yang said indifferently, "Your identity as the second Duke of the Mo clan cannot intimidate me." That day, we arrived at Lianyun mountain range. I heard that there were ruins there, but I did not pay attention. Zhen Tianji's eyes were a little disappointed, but when I saw a piece of purple crystal fragment, I began to believe it. "It is this piece." Mo Tianji took out a piece of purple crystal and placed it on the table. This was found under the bed of the hunter we stayed at. That hunter did not know what this was. At that time, Old Fong felt that there seemed to be energy fluctuations in the room. After searching carefully, he found it in a pile of junk under the bed. When he asked the hunter, he had already forgotten where it came from. He only said that he picked it up from the mountains. Mo Tianji smiled bitterly. Chu Yang held the piece of purple crystal and looked at it. This was a piece of purple crystal that was shaped like a horn. It was very thin and was at most as thick as 2 pieces of paper. Although it had obviously been cleaned by Mo Tianji, there were still some traces of dirt left behind by the years. When I saw it, I did not expect it to be a purple crystal. Mo Tianji smiled. Purple crystal. In this world, purple crystal could be said to be a priceless treasure. The energy it contained could allow people who knew how to extract it to advance their cultivation. Moreover, it was incomparably pure. This secret was only known to a few core members of the big clans. This piece of purple crystal needs to be looked at against a lamp or sunlight. Mo Tianji reminded. Chu Yang lit the oil lamp in the room and placed the purple crystal near the lamp. He looked at it and suddenly his whole body shook. This horn-shaped amethyst chip actually had something else inside it. There was actually a clear picture of a palm. In the center of the palm, there were 4 small words. Master of the world. Master of the world. Chu Yang's heart shook. These 4 words might not be known to ordinary people, but when one reached a certain level, they would know that these 4 words represented a peerless martial artist. 3,000 years ago, there was a wise man in the Chongtian continent. He started practicing martial arts when he was 20 years old. He started from an ordinary sect, but with his supreme wisdom, he changed his sect's mental cultivation method and rushed to the revered martial artist realm in the lower 3 heavens. After that, he entered the upper 3 heavens and randomly chose a clan to be his disciple. He actually took a different path from the clan's martial arts mental cultivation method and created his own unique martial arts. Just like that, he rose to the top and became the overlord of the upper three heavens. Chapter 175. This person's wisdom and comprehension of martial arts were unparalleled in the world. This was publicly acknowledged by everyone who knew of him. Any trash martial arts, as long as it was in his hands, would be able to turn it into something magical. This person's surname was Xiao. Xiao Fengyun was his name. Even his name was given by himself. It meant laughing at the wind and clouds. Legend has it that his highest achievement was a peak-grade martial monarch. Dancing in the sky, laughing at the wind and clouds, controlling the world, the universe in the heart. These words were Xiao Fengyun's evaluation of himself at that time. In the eyes of this eccentric person, everything in the world was just this. As long as he put his mind to it, everything would be under his control. Even the rise and fall of a dynasty, the changes in the world, he could control it. He could make decisions. The image of a palm on this purple crystal was Xiao Fengyun's unique symbol. Only such a crazy person would use a palm to represent himself. Everything in the world was under his control. This purple crystal reminded Chu Yang of the purple crystal jade essence on his chest. The handwriting on his purple crystal jade essence was exactly the same as the image on this purple crystal. Meng Qiaoran once said that even a martial monarch with a low level of cultivation would find it difficult to leave words like this. That remnant only appeared after it collapsed. Countless people went to search for it, but they found nothing. Mo Tianji said, "When I saw this purple crystal, I knew that I had been sucked in." Chu Yang finally understood. Seeing such a thing, even if it was him, he would also be attracted to it. For a martial artist, this was definitely a great temptation. On the second day, I left behind 2 gold taels for the hunter and took this purple crystal. Then I went to Lianyun Mountain. Mo Tianji said, 100 taels of gold. That's really cheap. Just this purple crystal alone was worth more than 100 taels of gold. Not to mention, there was such an earth-shattering secret behind it. 100 taels of gold is really too much. I wanted to leave 100 taels of silver for him. Mo Tianji said casually, for such a poor hunter, even 10 taels of gold would be enough to cause his death. But if I took it without telling him, I would feel uneasy. So I left it behind. Chu Yang smiled bitterly. Mo Tianji had this ability. He was always able to see through people's thoughts without them realizing it. Then, he would explain it to them before they even had the time to ask. Talking to him sometimes felt like listening to him talking to himself. As long as he doesn't want you to interrupt, then you won't even have the chance to speak. On the second day, I brought old Fong, Mo Qingyu, and little sister to the ruins. The ruins are located at the bottom of a cliff, about 1,000 feet deep. It was almost vertical. I was afraid that my little sister would get hurt. Plus, at the bottom of this cliff, I did not know what kind of strange, poisonous beasts were lurking. I was not at ease, so I let Mo Qingyu and my little sister wait at the top. Mo Tianji smiled bitterly. Chu Yang pondered with rapt attention. If it were him, he wouldn't have brought his little sister, who was only 8 years old, to such a dangerous place. It was only after we went down that we discovered that below us was a lake of kerosene. We searched several places but did not find anything. Right this moment, we heard a person on the other side of the cliff laughed and said, "Mo Xiaoye, why did you come to this kind of dangerous place?" This makes us, the Black Devils, overjoyed. Then there was a huge fire. The kerosene was dozens of feet thick, but it suddenly caught fire. Brother Chu, you can imagine how difficult it was for me at that time. Mo Tianji smiled bitterly. The entire cliff was on fire. The raging flames reached hundreds of feet into the sky. Although I was very anxious and knew that my little sister must have been ambushed, there was nothing I could do. Mo Tianji took a deep breath. I used my purple crystal jade flute. Old Fong and I took turns to use our strength to create a passage that led straight to the belly of the mountain. However, we only managed to create a passage for a few hundred feet before we ran out of strength. The fire was so big that even the mountain walls were scorched red. What was the use of a few hundred feet? Fortunately, the heavens always leave a way out. At the last moment, we accidentally opened up a path to the cave of martial monarch Xiao Fengyun. That was how we escaped with our lives. When Emotianji said this, he spoke very slowly. His eyes quietly looked at Chu Yang's face, not letting go of any slight expression on his face. The remains of a martial lord. In the Double Heaven continent, no matter who it was an enormous temptation. No one would be able to remain indifferent when they suddenly heard such news. If Chu Yang showed a bit of greed now, Emotianji would immediately change his attitude towards him. So, Chu Yang shouted, "I am not interested in what you got. No matter what you got, it has nothing to do with me." Emotianji's eyes flashed strangely and he asked, "Why? This kind of martial monarch-level treasure is sought after like a flock of ducks. Are you not curious at all?" "I have my own martial techniques and my own path." Chu Yang said indifferently, "I only want to walk my own path. I don't want a fork in my path. Even if it is a supreme martial artist's legacy, it is still a fork in the road for me." Emotianji's eyes shone brightly. He carefully looked at Chu Yang for a while and said, "Brother Chu is indeed amazing." He thought for a while and said thoughtfully, "Brother Chu, your way of doing things is similar to mine." Chu Yang thought carefully for a while and answered seriously, "Then you should also know why this purple crystal chip is so attractive to me." Emotianji sighed softly, "Even if it is a supreme martial artist's legacy, it may not make me, Emotianji, greedy. But this remains, I must have it." Chu Yang completely understood. In Emotianji's life, although he had a top-level cultivation, he did not personally fight many times. He was used to using his intelligence to solve problems. His habit was to not fight if he could. He liked to control. On this point, he had some similarities with Diwu Qingro. And this martial monarch-level expert, Xiao Fengyun, who left behind the remains, happened to be this kind of person. His controlling the world was actually a special type of cultivation that belonged to intelligence. This kind of thing was the most attractive thing in the world to Emotianji. The Heimobajia was lying in ambush there at that time. Emotianji said slowly, "They were only lying in ambush on top of the cliff. Or they were following us. I went deep into the cliff and gave them a golden opportunity. At the bottom of the cliff, there was a lake of kerosene. Even more so, this matter, or should I say, is a coincidence." When Emotianji said this, his tone was calm, but Chu Yang could clearly hear the helplessness in his tone. There was a hint of coldness in his calm tone. "My little sister, how is she?" Emotianji asked this question for the third time. At this point, the matter had been explained clearly. There was no need to ask any more. Although Emotianji did not know why King of Hell Chu was so obsessed with this matter, he could feel that if he did not explain clearly, Chu Yang would definitely not tell him about his little sister. She was slashed here by the Black Demon Sword King. Chu Yang extended a finger and pointed at his chest, stopping there. Emotianji's face immediately turned pale. He fell powerlessly on the chair and muttered, "Her 3 meridians are destroyed?" His little sister did not die. This was already confirmed. If she was injured normally, Chu Yang would not point out the specific location. And this location was the cold meridians for a girl. And Emo Qingwu's location was even more crucial. It was the intersection of her 3 meridians. Chu Yang said calmly. Emotianji clenched his fists tightly. Then he loosened them. Then he clenched them again. His pale face gradually turned purple. He said in a low voice, "I won't let you off." Chu Yang was shocked and asked. Emotianji raised his head and closed his eyes. After a while, he said, "Brother Chu, this matter has nothing to do with you. I will immediately take my little sister and return for 3 days." "After returning?" Chu Yang asked. "After returning, I will do my best to protect my little sister." Emotianji's eyes flashed with a trace of pain. Can you protect her? Chu Yang sneered. Emotunji, you are only the second prince. Can you protect her if she stays here? Emotunji snorted and asked. Chu Yang's words undoubtedly touched Emotunji's sore spot. But Emotunji's expression did not change. He quietly asked a rhetorical question, which also made Chu Yang unable to resist. Chu Yang was silent. Both of them knew what the other was worried about, but neither of them said anything. They kept pushing back and forth like a riddle. I like her very much. Chu Yang took a deep breath and said, I don't want her to receive some unfair treatment when she returns to the clan. What kind of, are you referring to? Emotunji's eyes suddenly became frighteningly sharp. They were like two sharp swords that directly pierced Chu Yang's heart. If I say, the love between a man and a woman, what would you think? Would you believe me? Chu Yang smiled quietly. Ha! Emotunji laughed out loud. He shook his head and said, Brother Chu, your words aren't funny at all. Emotunji hadn't been amused by someone for a long time. But he couldn't bear it this time. Because this time, the person who said this sentence was King of Hell Chu. Is it really that funny? Chu Yang was depressed. Okay, I will not discuss this with you. Emotunji tried hard to control himself, but he still felt that he could not control himself. After a long time, he solemnly said, Where is Xiao Wu now? Take me there. There is one more thing. I think it is better to tell you. Chu Yang said. What is it? I think I can cure Xiao Wu's 3 meridians. Chu Yang said somewhat hesitantly, No. I can't do it for now. I need time, or a year, or 2 years. Brother Chu is a doctor? Emotunji was startled. Ha! I am grateful for Brother Chu's kind intentions. When I return to the clan, I will certainly pass on Brother Chu's words to my father. Emotunji sighed softly. His words clearly meant that he did not believe Chu Yang's words. Chapter 176. When Chu Yang and Emotunji walked out of the inn, the sky was already dark and the moon had yet to rise. Chu Yang looked at the dark night and suddenly had a feeling in his heart. Did Emotunji in my previous life slowly transform into the master of calculation and manipulation Emotunji after obtaining this controlling the world? In the heavenly armament pavilion, the 5 youths were practicing martial arts. Today, there was an obvious difference in the mental appearance of the 5 people. All of them looked like they had excess energy. Over the past few days, everyone had become addicted to looking for abuse. Breaking through their limits 3 times a day had become a must-have. Every day, they would gather together to fight and perfect their own martial arts problems. Everyone felt that they had benefited greatly. With this kind of enthusiasm, even though the 1-month deadline had not even passed yet, everyone felt that they would definitely be able to break through it. In this way, everyone couldn't help but feel a little intoxicated. 1 level in 1 month, 2 levels in 2 months. If this was the case, wouldn't they be emperor level in 4 to 5 years? In 10 years, they would be supreme level? When they thought of this beautiful future, everyone felt as if they had taken an aphrodisiac. In such an excited mood, GMO couldn't hold back the ecstasy in his heart. He called Luo Kudi out for a spar and then beat Luo Kudi up in the name of a spar to vent the ecstasy in his heart. Luo Kudi found Rui Butong with a bloody nose and a swollen face and beat Rui Butong up. Dong Wushang excitedly went to challenge Gu Duxing and was ruthlessly beaten up by Gu Duxing. So, in order to vent his anger, Dong Wushang grabbed GMO and gave him a good beating. Rui Butong was the weakest among them and had nowhere to vent his anger. At night, when Luo Kudi was asleep, he covered him with a sack and dragged him out to beat him up like a pig. Thus, from that night onwards, the War of the 5 Nations officially kicked off. Every day was as miserable as a slaughterhouse. Gu Duxing improved the fastest and was the most powerful among them. He was fully deserving of being the boss and was also the one who rarely got injured. However, the other 4 were bruised and swollen almost every day. The worst thing was that Chu Yang would be humbly invited out by GMO and the others whenever he went back during this period. Boss, I hope you can give me some advice. I feel that this place is very negligent. Then he gave his boss a stern warning. Luo Kedi also imitated Chu Yang's example and came over to compare notes with Chu Yang's leg techniques. Dong Wuxiang was more restrained in his attacks because he had a favor to ask. If he wanted this saber, he had to rely on Chu Yang, so he didn't dare to be presumptuous. As for Rui Budan, he was now completely trapped in Gu Duxing's special shaving. Chu Yang remembered all these in his heart. He looked at GMO and Luo Kedi with a meaningful look in their eyes. Damn it! Did you enjoy beating me up during this period of time? You'll be begging me in the future. At that time, if I don't teach you a lesson, I won't be surnamed Chu. These days, Mo Qingwu was also the happiest person. Every day there were so many big brothers playing with her, and all of them were envious of her saber. Little Luo's vanity was greatly satisfied. So every day she squinted her beautiful eyes and squatted at the door, watching the big brothers fight like monkeys. From time to time, she would jump up and cheer. As for Mo Qingyu, his injuries were getting better. He had already recovered half of his martial power, but his face was also getting uglier. That night, after finishing their homework for the day, it was Luo Kedi's turn to cook. While everyone angrily cursed the food, after finishing their meal, they worked together to give Luo Kedi a good beating. Rui Butong used a lot of strength. While they were messing around, Gu Duxing suddenly raised his eyebrows and said, "Someone is coming." Following his words, the four of them immediately dispersed and smoothed out the messy ground. In the next moment, they were sitting by the stone table and drinking tea in a very comfortable manner. 17351. Edited by Lifer, Fingerfox. Each of them was talking and laughing, graceful and at ease. They did not look like people who had just beaten up a bunch of pigs. The door opened. A man in black and a man in white appeared at the same time. Behind them was an old man. Gu Duxing and the others all looked over at the same time. In the next moment, everyone had different reactions. The man in black was naturally Chu Yang, but the man in white was handsome and tall. His clothes were as white as snow, and his body was tall and straight. His eyebrows were like swords, and his eyes were like stars. His every movement was full of grace and elegance. His eyes were gentle and calm, as deep as the cold autumn lake. "Second brother," Mo Qingwu shouted happily. Like a swallow, she flew over and threw herself into the arms of the man in white. The man in white was also very excited. "Little sister, little Wu, I missed you so much. Come, let your second brother see, you've lost weight." Mo Tianji, who saw his sister, completely lost his elegance and calmness. He was so happy that he laughed heartily. His whole body was filled with warmth and happiness, and his eyes were full of love for Chu Wan. He was used to it. "Mo Tianji?" Gu Duxing and the others exclaimed at the same time. Other than GMO, everyone had a deep sense of fear in their eyes. The five of them were all geniuses of the big clans in the three heavens. Even in the whole of the three heavens, they were outstanding rising stars. But now, even Gu Duxing and Dong Wuxiang, who would be as famous as Mo Tianji in the future, felt inferior in front of Mo Tianji. Because the current Mo Tianji was already well versed in martial arts and could hold his own. This was what the others lacked the most. Luo Kedi's clan and Mo Tianji's clan were enemies. Naturally, they knew how powerful Mo Tianji was. It could be said that among the younger generation of the Mo clan, Mo Tianji was the biggest threat. Far more than his big brother Mo Tianyun. The current Mo Tianji did not have the nickname Master of Calculation and Manipulation. But among the younger generation, other than the evil Duke, who appeared and disappeared mysteriously, Mo Tianji was already firmly in the first place. "It's so lively here." Mo Tianji's face revealed a gentle smile. Deep in his eyes, there was a trace of sadness and anger. The moment he carried his little sister, he began to use his energy to detect. His little sister's 3 meridians were not damaged. They were completely destroyed. Onunji was incomparably angry at this fact. At the same time, when he saw these people again, Mo Tianji was also shocked. Why were there so many familiar faces gathered here? None of them could be underestimated. Lively? Motianji, do you want to stay and join us in the fun? Luo Kadi crossed his arms and said in a strange tone. No, in our generation, it's enough to have Brother Gu and Brother Dong with you. GMO is even more unnecessary. As for me, it's better not to participate. Motianji smiled warmly and said, Luo Kadi, compared to you, I'm old. Luo Kadi was so angry that his nose became crooked. Motianji's words were clearly isolating Chu Yang. He had elevated Gu Du Xing and Dong Wushang, who were the most difficult to deal with, to the same height as himself in the first sentence. GMO was his cousin, and Rui Butong was Gu Du Xing's best friend. Moreover, he was only targeting himself. Obviously, he was saying that he did not deserve to be with them. As for the last sentence, I'm old. It made him so angry that his eyes turned black. Motianji, you don't go too far. Luo Kadi immediately flew into a rage. Young people need to have self-restraint. Motianji said gently, otherwise, how can you live in peace? Luo Ergong, when you go home and see your brother, please send my regards. When you see your father, please also send my regards. And your parents and ancestors, I've heard a lot about them. Luo Kadi let out a strange cry and rushed over with a whoosh. Luo Kadi's elder brother, Luo Kuwu, had once been ambushed by Motianji and had almost lost his life. His father, the clan lord of the Luo clan, Luo Chengtian, had also been schemed against by Motianji and had almost vomited blood in anger. Motianji had said this in order to raise his own status and to suppress Luo Kadi further. How could Luo Kadi bear this? Little wolf. GMO was shocked and hurriedly hugged him. Motianji rarely spoke like this. Although he was smiling elegantly and gently at this moment, it was clear that his heart was in a frenzy. As his cousin, how could GMO not understand his elder cousin's habits? If Luo Kadi really rushed over, then a corpse would appear on the ground in the next moment. Luo Kadi, are you hopelessly stupid? Chu Yang roared angrily. 2 king-level masters of the Mo clan are here, and you want to attack the 2 elders of the Mo clan? Chu Yang really had to hand it to this brainless guy. 2 king-level masters were eyeing you covetously. How could you hurt Motianji? Motianji was in a frenzy and had nowhere to vent his anger. Therefore, he deliberately provoked your anger. If you really went up, would you have a good time? Although Chu Yang's words were very impolite, it really woke up the raging Luo Kadi. Looking at Motianji's warm face, he couldn't help but shiver. This guy was too insidious. He snorted angrily and turned his head away, no longer speaking. Brother Chu, I want to talk with you again. Motianji looked at Chu Yang calmly and said indifferently, okay. At the inn, I treated you to tea. Now I will treat you to wine. Motianji smiled and said, please. Gu Du Xing and Dong Wushang looked at each other and saw the astonishment in each other's eyes. Heavenly GT and Heavenly G wine were Motianji's original creations. Only people whom Motianji approved of and valued highly would have the honor of being treated by Motianji. Motianji once said, ordinary people, who can drink my Heavenly GT. Chapter 177. The 2 of them walked side by side to the lakeside. Motianji took out a small bottle of wine and said, Tianji wine is brewed by me. It can't be compared to the good wine and delicacies that Brother Chu often drinks, but it is my most sincere gift. Thank you. Chu Yang rolled his eyes. In his previous life, I drank your Tianji wine in jars. Today, you only took out a little bit and you still act like you are pained. Xiao Wu is my little sister. Motianji slowly sat down and looked at the lake. He slowly said, when Xiao Wu was born, mother was in poor health and couldn't get out of bed. Those years were the most important period of the Mo clan's development. There were internal and external troubles. Father was also very busy. At that time, Big Brother was already able to help. So, I coaxed her every day, played with her, and told her stories. Brother Chu, did you know that my little sister, The first sentence she learned in her life, the first time she learned to call someone, was second brother. Mo Tianji's face showed a warm smile. He was satisfied and proud. Every time I hear Xiao Wu call me second brother with a sweet voice, I feel proud and happy. Mother was sick for 3 years. And Xiao Wu, in these 3 years, almost never left my side. Xiao Wu, she's my treasure. When Xiao Wu was 3 years old, she showed a talent for martial arts. The clan identified that Xiao Wu had the rare 3-yin meridian. She was a genius, a genius. Mo Tianji's face showed a look of reminiscence. He smiled and shook his head. That year, I was 13 years old. I drank for the first time in my life. I was so happy that I got drunk, and I was beaten by my father. A genius with the 3-yin meridian proves that Xiao Wu's life will not be ordinary. Moreover, even when she grows up and has marriage problems, the clan will try to respect her wishes. That way, she will be able to find a satisfactory home. Mo Tianji smiled and said, "You know, in a big clan like ours, it is very difficult for a girl to find a happy home that she is willing to return to. In this life, Xiao Wu will not be troubled by love. For a girl, this is the greatest happiness. I sincerely hope that my sister can obtain her Liduo's happiness and become the happiest bride in the heavenly layer continent. I've even decided that on the day my sister gets married, I, Mo Tianji, will do my best to send out invitations to the entire heavenly layer. I want everyone in the heavenly layer to attend my sister's wedding. Everyone must give my sister their blessings. All the happiness in the world will be given to my sister. Give them all to Xiao Wu." Mo Tianji's voice was very low, but it was as if he was shouting with his soul. Chi was talking about his life's Liduo, but it turned out to be his own sister. Moreover, it seemed so powerless to say it at this time. Chu Yang was moved. Mo Tianji's love for Mo Qingwu was within his expectations, but he didn't expect it to be to this extent. This pair of siblings had a deep relationship that was beyond anyone's imagination. No wonder in my previous life, Mo Tianji wanted to kill me even though we were very close friends. Because in this master of calculation and manipulation's heart, the whole world isn't as important as his little sister. No wonder Mo Tianji sent out 3 king-level experts to deal with me. Because Mo Tianji's strength at that time was only enough to send out these high-level experts. As for those people before, I'm afraid Mo Tianji deliberately spread the news to let those people die with me? Does this count as the last time he did his brother's duty? After all, 1 king-level expert is enough to deal with me. Why would so many people die first? Chu Yang's mouth revealed a bitter smile. The past is the past. All these are just guesses. Brother Chu, do you understand my feelings now? Mo Tianji said slowly, 3-yin meridian. 3-yin meridian. The Mo people really deserve to die. They destroyed my little sister's 3-yin meridian. They are so vicious. Once 3-yin meridian is destroyed, it means that my little sister's whole life has been destroyed by them. Mo Tianji deeply lowered his head. The Mo clan attaches great importance to aptitude and strength. It attaches great importance to the clan. Outsiders will never be able to imagine the cruelty of this. Once the clan finds out about this, Xiao Wu's original position will definitely be lost. And now, my words carry no weight in the clan. My big brother will definitely hit you when you are down. Mo Tianji said these words through gritted teeth. Brother Chu, I am powerless. Mo Tianji slowly raised his head. His eyes fixed on the sky as he murmured, "You know, right now I am praying. If the heavens can restore my little sister's 3-yin meridian, even if I, Tianji, die now, I will do it without hesitation. I will die without hesitation. I really want to keep little Wu with you. I can see that you like her a lot. You can't fake it at all." Mo Tianji said painfully, "Unfortunately, you're too weak right now." Mo Tianji was talking and Chu Yang was listening. He did not say a word, but his eyes were shining in the night sky. "Tomorrow morning, I will take Xiao Wu back to the clan." Mo Tianji took a deep breath and exhaled, "Brother Chu, thank you. You saving Xiao Wu is saving me, Mo Tianji." I haven't said these words yet. But I, Emotianji, can give you a promise now. As long as Brother Chu has any difficulties, just say the word, and I, Emotianji, will mobilize the greatest power I can to help you. Emotianji said softly. Promises are the most binding things. They bind the heart and conscience. In my life, I, Emotianji, have never made any promises to anyone, not even to my wife. My promise to Brother Chu will be the only promise I, Tatanji, will make in my life. Chu Yang was silent for a long time. Suddenly he said, Brother Emo, do you believe me? As long as you say it, I will believe it. Emo Tianji laughed. Brother Emo has made a promise to me, and I, Chu Yang, will also make a promise to Brother Emo. Chu Yang took a deep breath and said, I will definitely heal Xiao Wu's injury. I can't guarantee how long it will take. Maybe a few months or a year or two. Emo Tianji stared at him for a long time. Then he smiled and said, I believe you. So, I need you to protect Bo Wu during this period of time when I don't have the ability to cure her. Chu Yang said solemnly, This is also my only request. Emo Tianji frowned. He stood up and paced back and forth a few times. Then he let out a deep breath and said, Brother Chu, I won't hide it from you. If Xiao Wu stays in the clan like before, I can't do it. Even my father can't do it. No one can doubt my feelings for Xiao Wu. But this is a huge benefit for the clan. Right now, I don't have that ability. Emo Tianji's face was full of pain. I can only promise that after Xiao Wu loses her original position, I will protect her. But I can't keep her position. Don't force me to go to war with your Mo clan. Chu Yang said indifferently, If I know that Xiao Wu has been wronged, your Mo clan must give me an explanation. Brother Chu, what status do you have to say this? Mo Tianji shook his head and smiled bitterly. Although I know that you like Xiao Wu, your words are too childish. Chu Yang smiled faintly. He thought, Mo Tianji, you can do anything for Qin Wu, but your feelings are not as good as mine. Thinking about this, Chu Yang felt a little proud. From Mo Tianji's words, he could tell that a conflict between him and the Mo clan was inevitable. Now, Chu Yang only hoped that the Mo clan would not go too far. He stood up and took the bottle of Tianji wine that Mo Tianji handed to him. He pulled out the cork and drank it all in one gulp. Then he raised his hand and the small wine flask fell into the lake, creating faint ripples. Chu Yang only felt that his heart was at ease. Because of Mo Tianji's words, Chu Yang had untied a deep-rooted knot in his heart. In his previous life, he died because of Mo Tianji's scheme. Chu Yang had always thought that he was betrayed by his best friend. Chu Yang valued his friends very much. Because he did not have many friends. Mo Tianji was the only one. So, he could not tolerate Mo Tianji's betrayal. But now, he did not blame him. Mo Tianji was someone who could give up his life for Mo Qingwu. Moreover, he was Mo Qingwu's brother. Now that Mo Tianji killed his sister, he came to take revenge. Of course. Chu Yang was even certain that if Mo Tianji in his previous life had asked him to commit suicide to atone for his sins after knowing the truth, he would have cut his own throat without any hesitation. When the two returned from the lake, Mo Tianji had already regained his composure. Mo Tianji would never lose his composure in front of so many people. Mo Qingyu lowered his head and walked over with a bit of hesitation. When we get back, I will deal with you. Mo Tianji said coldly, Mo Qingyu, you are very competent. You protected the little miss well. Very well. Mo Qingyu's face was pale and full of guilt. Second brother, come and see. This is the saber that Brother Chu Yang gave me. Mo Qingwu happily held the dreaming of a gentle dance saber and ran over with her short legs. Since she had something good, she naturally had to show it off in front of her family. Chu Yang gave you a saber? Mo Tianji looked at Chu Yang questioningly. He took the saber and weighed it in his hand. His eyebrows furrowed, so light. Suddenly, his eyes flashed and he looked up at Chu Yang. Red Cloud Steel? How did you know? Gu Duxing was not convinced. When they saw the saber, they did not immediately recognize it. But Immortal did not even pull out the saber. He just looked at the broken scabbard and guessed it. Was his brain really that good? Is it that difficult? Such a light saber, it is obviously not made of wood. With Brother Chu Yang's love for Xiao Wu, he must have given her something extraordinary. Mo said casually, as for ordinary treasures, Xiao Wu was born in the Mo clan. What good things have she not seen? It is rare to see something that she likes so much. Shan Wu likes red. Most importantly, when Xiao Wu ran over with the saber, Brother Dong's eyes flashed with envy. Mo said, a saber that could make the two elders of the Black Saber clan jealous, a saber that Xiao Wu likes, a saber that Chu Yang gave to Xiao Wu, such a light saber. Mo smiled at Gu Duxing. Brother Gu? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.